$18,888 in prizes. But that's not all. Every winner will be entered into our exclusive Lucky Fire cash drawing on Monday, April 27th. Take a seat, feel the heat at Live Casino, Route 30 at Westmoreland Mall. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's the early edition of the Afternoon Drive Show in your local station, WMBS Uniontown. I'm Doug Saltzman. That's TJ DeStefano producing the show today. He, of course, did the news. Good to have him in studio. It's good to be here a little early. I'm not usually here when there's cars out in the parking lot. I usually get here when the business place is closed down for the day. Glad to be here. We're with you till 6 o'clock, of course. Tonight we have Pirate Baseball. That pregame show starts at 6:15, as Russ Rhodes said earlier. First pitch at 6:40. As I mentioned to Russ, we've got a pretty good show going today, I think. A variety of different issues. We're going to talk about the latest in Iran. We'll check in with Colonel Jeff McCausland. Then we're going to talk to our friend, Dr. Audrey Gusky, of course. Dr. Gusky is Associate Professor of Marketing at Duquesne University. I'm always amazed. She'll talk about the amount of money being spent at Easter time. We're going to talk to her about the impact of the NFL draft in Pittsburgh. All that coming up until 6 o'clock. Nick will be in at 4 o'clock. We're going to talk to Bob Grove. Bob, of course, is the longtime Pittsburgh Penguins analyst and historian. Penguins season, big surprise for a lot of folks. Clearly heading into the playoffs. 4 games left of the season, if my math is right. We'll talk to him, our last interview with him during the regular season, and no doubt we'll be checking in with him when the playoffs start as well. So all that coming up today on the early and then extended version of the Afternoon Drive Show. And joining us right now on the WMBS Newsmakers line, CBS News military and national security analyst, retired Army Colonel Jeff McCausland. Colonel, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate your talking to us. The latest, of course, we want to get your analysis, the latest from the war in Iran. And the Strait of Hormuz at this point seems to be the absolute focal point, correct?
And without a doubt, Doug, in essence, what I think what's occurred is we now have a fourth goal for this particular conflict. At the onset, the president talked about 3 things. Those were, first and foremost, blunting Iran's conventional military capabilities, long-range missiles, drones, Navy, Air Force, etc. Second of all, then to ensure that Iran did not have the capacity to acquire a nuclear weapon. Oddly, the president kind of moved those goalposts around a little bit because initially, he talked about, securing the roughly 1,000 pounds of active material that we know the Iranians have enriched that would be needed for a nuclear warhead. Then last week on Thursday, he said, well, that's no longer necessary. We can monitor that location from outer space, which, by the way, we could monitor before the war began. And then yesterday in a president conference, once again, that active material becomes very important. And then thirdly, he talked about regime change. He's been back and forth on that, saying, no, we're not in favor of regime change, but we are in favor of unconditional surrender, which sounds like regime change to me. I should be involved in the selection of the next leader. He talked about that. And now he says, well, we've achieved regime change by killing off a number of their leaders. But I would say we've changed some leaders. We haven't changed the regime. The Islamic Revolution still exists. And now the fourth objective is the one you put your finger on, and that is by virtue of the conflict and the seizure of control of the Straits of Hormuz, vital waterway, 20% of the world's oil passes through that narrow strait. Reopening the Strait of Hormuz now has become the center point in many ways of the war from the United States perspective. We saw this rather, at a minimum, I have to say, unusual social media post by the president over the Easter weekend talking about, open the effing straits, you crazy bastards, you're going to go to hell, and then ended up with a rather gratuitous remark, I thought, which was praise be to Allah, which came across, on the one hand, I think almost desperate, and then on the other hand came across with sort of a very, robust, combative position by the president, which I think probably will invite more defiance from the Iranians than compliance and cooperation.
Yeah, that was a puzzle. That's an understatement. Yeah, a little confused by some of those comments, especially the vulgarity of it. I was surprised. The president doesn't usually do things like that or say things like that. But yeah, you wonder sometimes if anybody's vetting these before he sends them out. I'm not sure if that's the case. If that's the case at all. Yeah, the Strait of Hormuz issue, and you talk about regime change. I was surprised to learn that the Shah of Iran's son is still with us. I guess that just seems so long ago. I guess it's not 1979 when the Shah was deposed. He's since passed away. His son, I guess, is still living where in the United States. I don't even know where his son is living. Is that the regime change the president might be hoping for? I mean, was still a dictatorship. That was not a democracy, correct?
Yeah, the Crown Prince Pahlavi has, offered up his offices, or good offices, if you will, as sort of an interim figure for a transition to democracy. I don't think anybody's taking that terribly seriously. I don't think he's got much legitimacy in the eyes of the population. Been in California now for something like, almost 50 years. And the president, I think, has been asked a couple times and kind of has discounted Pahlavi as being an alternative. What the administration has talked about is setting conditions whereby the population would rise up. But, Doug, they did that back in January, and the result was the president said, rise up, help is on the way, we're going to support you. And then we did nothing, and somewhere between 7,000 and 30,000 Iranian protesters were killed in the streets of their country. So it doesn't bode well for them doing that again in the midst of a war, which, like I said before, unfortunately, in past, what we see in countries when they're being heavily bombed like this one, that actually tends to pull people together and rally around the flag. And then, of course, today, as we move towards this deadline tonight, the president has kind of doubled down again by putting out on a social media post, and here I'm quoting, "A great civilization will die tonight," which is obviously very combative, and again, doesn't suggest to me that it will elicit surrender or compliance, but may actually elicit greater defiance. And we've heard the Iranians already said, the president of Iran came back and said 14 million Iranians are prepared to die for their country. They've talked about putting chains of people, human chains, at various locations that we've threatened, energy infrastructure, desalination plants, et cetera, to die for the country. And it's probably important to remember this is a country that during the 8-year-long Iran-Iraq War, where they lost hundreds of thousands of killed in action, young Iranians actually would run through minefields to, in fact, clear those minefields for Iranian forces to advance. So dedicated to the revolution, and unfortunately, you might see the same kind of action this evening if, in fact, the president goes through with his threats to do an expanded, very intense bombing of all those infrastructure targets.
We're talking with Colonel Jeff McCausland on the afternoon drive show here on the delays on the war in Iran. 43 degrees right now outside our Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law Studios. You talked a moment ago about the president's plans to eliminate the enriched uranium needed for of course, a nuclear warhead. How does one do that? This is showing my naivete here. If you attack a facility like that, are you looking at a nuclear type explosion, or is that really naive on my part?
Not really an explosion. I mean, you wouldn't have a detonation, a war yield detonation. If they were to blow it up, basically put explosives around the containers for the active material, you would have a nuclear explosion, but that would just be localized, and you'd have localized radiation. But it's still a tricky mission for a number of reasons. One, we believe, uncertain, but believe this, roughly 1,000 pounds is around Isfahan. If you get a map of Iran out, you'll find Isfahan is about the dead center of the country. It's not far from where we plucked this pilot who was shot down from Iranian territory, but some probably 5 or 6 hours of flying, most of it over Iranian territory to even get there. And then you got to secure the site, and then you got to capture the material, which is probably heavily guarded. Oh, by the way, it may be buried under tons of rubble because that area was heavily bombed last June by the United States. And if you can get all that done, then you got to load these containers up and make sure that you don't damage any of the containers, which would cause localized radiation. And then you got to spirit that 7 hours back across Iranian territory to get it out. That makes the raid to go into Venezuela to capture Maduro look really easy, actually, and I think would be fraught with great uncertainty, and most certainly would very likely result in substantial American casualties.
So it's not as simple as just destroying it. You have to actually get it and get it out away from the facility.
Well, I suppose you could destroy it, but we tried doing that, back in June, when we bombed the living heck out of it. But basically, it was reported, at least, when the president said we obliterated the target, that the material was contained down below ground in tunnels, complexes. What we basically did was collapse the tunnels, and all of that particular rubble collapsed around the material. Now, there have been conflicting reports on whether or not the Iranians have attempted to excavate those sites and recover that material. But if they have, then obviously requiring it might be a little easier. But it seems most people believe they have not. So again, even if you could get to the site, you got to figure out how you excavate through all these tons of rubble to recover the material to spirit it out of the country.
As I've said on the air and in private conversations with some of your colleagues at CBS, we wish you guys all the best. Of course, the news came quite shocking to all of us.
Thank
CBS
you.
affiliates at CBS News Radio will be shutting down next month. We've enjoyed our conversations with you over the years, very generous with your time. We hope we can continue those conversations as all of these affiliates, 700 across the country, are trying to decide what we do next. No doubt we will have national news of some sort, but and obviously we'd like to talk to you between now and that day in May. I think it's May 22nd. But we do appreciate and we wish you guys all the best. The service you provide, the analysis over the years is so very helpful and something we've done here on this show for many years now. We appreciate your being with us.
That's very kind of you, Doug, and I've enjoyed my conversation with you. They've always been stimulating, and as an individual, I would be delighted to discuss that with you guys at some appropriate time. But in the interim, I mean, it's kind of a sad day, I think, for the nation. CBS Radio has been around for 99 years and featured over the time such famous people as Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite. I'm not trying to compare myself to any of those guys, but that's the legacy that we enjoy. And certainly at the same time, I think what we do with you on the radio is oftentimes, A, write the first page or the rough draft of history, and B, try to keep the American citizen as well informed as we can over the complex issues that face us around the world.
Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite must be turning over in their graves.
I fear so.
As we've said over the years. We talked to Bill Rakoff, one of your former colleagues.
Yeah.
Last 2 weeks ago, we talked to him. Of course, he was an anchor for so much of the coverage, including election night and the debates, you name it. And he had his thoughts as well, as you might guess. And shame to see that all happening. But we appreciate your joining us today. And first and foremost, we appreciate your service to our country, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, take care. Colonel Jeff McCausland joining us on the Afternoon Drive show on the WMBS Radio Newsmakers line here at WMBS. 43 degrees right now outside our Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law Studios. I'm Doug Saltzman, producing the show today, and he'll be up with, no, I guess Nick. No, he'll have the news at 4 o'clock. What am I saying? Yeah, that TJ DeStefano will be back with the news at 4 following the national news. Speaking of national news, we'll hit that news brief in just a few minutes at 3:31 p.m. coming up here shortly. As I mentioned, we're going to check in with our friend Dr. Audrey Gusky from Duquesne University, professor of marketing. Always amazed as we talk to her. Nick and I do quiz. She gives Nick and I quizzes over the years about spending on holidays. Number one spending holiday, to nobody's surprise, of course, is always Christmas. And number two, might surprise a lot of people, it's back to school. The amount of money that's spent on back to school spending, I guess my wife and I weren't exactly as generous as others when I said the amount of money, hear about the amount of money being spent on back to school. So we're going to talk to Dr. Gusky about how much money was spent for Easter. I have a feeling that'll be well into the billions of dollars as well. Nick is usually better at making these guesses. He won't be in the studio yet with us today when we talk to her in about 5 or 6 minutes. My guesses are usually far from that. So we're going to check in with her. Also, the Penguins, 4 games left in the season. I think I have my math right. Surprise, I don't know if they're the Cinderella story, the NHL this year, but a lot of folks are surprised they came through the injury that Sidney Crosby received in the Olympics, and, of course, a 5-game suspension on a dumb play by Geno Malkin. We'll see what happens with the Penguins to see if it would be nice to have them back in the playoffs. Of course, they have not been in the playoffs for the last 3 seasons. And I had raised the concern if that keeps up, will Sidney say, hey, I had a great time here. I think it's time to retire. Yeah, they make a ton of money, but they also want to be in the playoffs. They want to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm not sure if that's going to happen for the Pens this year. But who better to talk about that than our guest today at 4:15, Bob Grove. Just a few moments ago, I spoke, you heard I was speaking with Colonel McCausland about the demise of CBS News Radio. And don't worry, folks, we will have a national news service coming over these airways. That has not yet been determined. We're not alone in that those discussions. There's 700 affiliates that CBS News has out there across the fruited plain, all trying to decide what they want to do so they can continue. And there will be no gap. There'll be national news being provided from WMBS, no doubt about that. Larry Maggett, who was a long time worked for CBS as an analyst, tech analyst, we're going to talk to him today at 4:35 about his thoughts on those changes at CBS. I guess we talked about, we're not owned by CBS here. We're privately owned, family owned all these many years. But I guess CBS decided they didn't want to or couldn't sell the news, the radio news bureau. Now, it's still over a month away. We'll wait and see what happens. But don't worry, we will have national news being broadcast here on WMBS, AM and FM, and of course on the internet as well. At 5:15 today, our good friend Rick Seaback from WQED TV will be in studio. We'll talk to him about his latest project. He has another great documentary about how great it is to live right here in southwestern Pennsylvania, including a part of that is about Fayette County, right here, of course, where our radio station is located. As I mentioned, 43 degrees right now outside our studios in downtown Uniontown. We're going to hit that CBS News Brief coming up here in just a moment. And when we get back, Dr. Audrey Gusky will join us, not in studio, but on the air. We'll talk to her about how about this spending for Easter and spending as part of the NFL draft.
CBS News Brief. Pope Leo says President Trump's threat to destroy Iranian culture tonight is unacceptable. CBS's Natalie Brand reports.
Lawmakers also voicing a lot of concern over the president's threats to civilian infrastructure. We've heard the president talk about, threats to bridges and power plants in Iran, something that he's been saying time and time again.
Two Iraqi government sources and a source familiar with the situation tell CBS News that American journalist Shelley Kittleson has been freed after Iranian-backed militants kidnapped her in Iraq last week. CBS's Olivia Gazis.
The exact circumstances and terms of Kittleson's release, including whether any concessions were made, are still unclear.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche announces the creation of the Trump administration's National Fraud Enforcement Division.
Its core mission will be to zealously investigate and prosecute those who steal taxpayer dollars and rip off the American people.
CBS News Brief, I'm Jennifer Kuiper.
Spring is in full swing at Bogey's Restaurant and Sports Bar at the scenic Duck Hollow Golf Course. Stop by and celebrate their spring grand opening with daily food and drink specials you won't want to miss. Grab a drink, dig into some of Bogey's amazing food, and unwind with friends at Uniontown's newest hotspot. It's the perfect place to relax after a round of golf, enjoy a night out, or just catch up with friends. NASCAR fans, be sure to join us for Sunday races, all shown on one of Bogey's 8 TVs, making every race day exciting. With warmer days on the way, it's time to start planning for the 2026 golf season at Duck Hollow Golf Course. Visit duckhollowgc.com to sign up for the newsletter and stay up to date on upcoming events, leagues, and season updates. Bogies welcomes you at 374 Duck Hollow Road, Uniontown, or call 724-439-3150 for more information. Bogies Restaurant and Sports Bar, where good times are always on par.
As loved ones age, it's important to make sure that they're getting the care and attention that they need. Hillside Manor Personal Care Home aims to make your loved ones as comfortable as possible while still receiving superior care. 4 specialized levels of care and the services of an on-site certified registered nurse practitioner means that care is personalized on an individual level. At the same time, residents can enjoy a hospitable environment. Themed after a small town, the interior of Hillside Manor features a 50s-style diner, movie theater, and common areas. High-priority safety and security measures ensure the safety and protection of all residents and staff members 24 hours a day, and friends and family are encouraged to make frequent visits. If you're looking for a clean, friendly, and safe place for your loved ones, look no further. Hillside Manor Personal Care Home is ready to meet your needs. Call 724-439-2273 for more information. They look forward to meeting you.
April savings are in full bloom at Economy Furnace Company, bringing unbeatable deals on comfort and efficiency. For a limited time, enjoy $500 off a new air conditioning installation or save $1,000 on a complete heating and cooling system upgrade. Keep existing equipment running strong with a discounted $99 tune-up designed to boost performance and extend system life before the summer heat arrives. Economy Furnace Company proudly partners with Amana, a trusted name in American-made HVAC systems known for reliability, innovation, and long-lasting quality. Whether upgrading or maintaining current equipment, these April offers make it more affordable to stay comfortable all year long. Backed by expert installation, trusted service, and exceptional value, Economy Furnace Company is committed to keeping homes cool, efficient, and worry-free. Don't miss these limited-time savings. Call Economy Furnace Company at 724-438-4575. Comfort and quality have never been a better deal.
For economy, price, and quality service, call Economy Furnace.
It's time to make your tax refund work for you at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. Now through April 30th, don't miss their Double Your Tax Refund event, where they'll match your refund up to $2,500 when you put it towards a new home. Find a home that fits your family, your style, and your future with the features you've been dreaming of. So what are you waiting for? Stop by Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon today at 4500 Route 51 and take advantage of this limited time offer. Some exclusions may apply.
Businesses come in all shapes and sizes. Integrity doesn't. For more than a century, the Better Business Bureau has set the standards for how businesses should operate honestly and ethically. So when you're looking for a business you can trust, check to see who's BBB accredited and who isn't. Always choose the better business. Look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Derek and the Dominoes, better known as Eric Clapton, as one of the great rock and roll songs of all time. That's just a terrific song, one of my all-time favorites. I want to thank Colonel Jeff McCausland for joining us from CBS News, military analyst, retired Army Colonel, his latest on his analysis of the war in Iran. The president's latest salvo on social media was surprising. It didn't sound very much like him. We'll wait and see what happens on this. Of course, the main issue right now is the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of the world's oil goes through that strait. We'll wait and see what happens on that one. To lighten things up a little bit, and we try to bounce around different topics here, as I've mentioned during the tease earlier with Russ Rhodes before the 3 o'clock news, and earlier I was talking about it as well, joining us right now on the WMBS radio newsmakers line, of course, professor of marketing at Duquesne University, our friend Dr. Audrey Gusky. And before we start the interview, Dr. Gusky, you sent me an email about a week ago saying, hey, let's talk about the upcoming Easter spending. So I keep track of things. I put it in my archives, and I forgot it was there. So I apologize for not talking pre-Easter spending, but now we can do a post-game analysis, I suppose, on Easter spending. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing, Doug?
Good.
Thank you for calling me, and it's always fun to talk Easter before, during, or after. As a Catholic, I know that Easter season goes for about 50 days. This is Easter week, so we're totally on schedule with this.
Right up to that day when we go to Mass and wear red, right, for Pentecost.
Yeah, that's true.
We all wear red at church that day. But you talked about that. And I was saying earlier, before you joined us, I'm always shocked at the amount of money the Americans consumers spend on holidays. Christmas being the biggest, of course, naturally, that's no surprise. But I was shocked when you told Nick and I a while back, and Nick's not in studio with us today, by the way. Number two is back-to-school spending. I think some parents are a lot more generous than I suppose I am when you talk about back-to-school spending. Always
right.
sort of shocking.
And the kids need so much, the students need so much anymore, and prices are high. So, of course, it would be the number 2 retail season.
Right.
But Easter is in the top 10. And I think I sent you the email that $29 billion with a B was spent this Easter season.
Yeah.
That is quite a bit of money when you think the economy is uncertain. But it's a tradition, it's a holiday, it's a holy day. People like to be with their families, they reconnect, they want to create memories, they want to do Easter egg hunts and chocolate bunnies. And so, yeah, the average person is spending $200 or did spend then on candy, food, gifts, flowers, cards. So, yeah, it's a big retail spending tradition here.
Father Bill, one of our priests at our parish, during his homily on Easter Sunday at 11:30 Mass, mentioned that this is the day, this is the big day, of course, and he said when we eat more candy in one day's time than we do the rest of the year. But he, of course, making a joke. I don't know, it's right up there with Halloween in terms of heavy.
Well, no, we spend more money on Easter candy than
Really?
we do Halloween candy. That is shocking.
Well,
to me,
that
that's
is shocking. 'Cause
shocking.
You don't give it out to people on Easter. You give away candy on Halloween. So yeah. I'm
Well, I guess
surprised.
we just eat it. You know, excuse me, Doug, that Easter bunny has to fill all those baskets. So,
Suppose you're right.
you know, and prices have gone up, and people are not just buying for their children, but they're buying for, my grandchildren, of course, I got stuff for, and sometimes my students I give candy to, of course I do. So, there's a lot of people other than just your traditional family that's getting the candy. And, I remember, you probably remember too, back in the day we used to wear Easter bonnets. Not that we did, but there was that song, in your Easter bonnet.
Oh.
And so we would always get, boys would get an Easter outfit, which you would wear to church for the rest of the summer, spring and summer.
My 4 daughters over the years when they were very young wore bonnets on Easter. We have great pictures of them wearing their Easter bonnets.
I bet.
And of course, giving out three, bite-sized Three Musketeers on Halloween is not quite as expensive as a foot-high Sarah's chocolate bunny.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Oh yes, so true, so true.
We'll give a shout
Yeah,
out to
but we also, flowers and Easter cards and those types of things. So we spend $7 billion on food, $4 billion on gifts, $4 billion on clothes, $3.5 billion on candy, and $2.2 billion on flowers. So that really puts things in perspective and says, whoa, that it's a big shot in the arm for the economy. But I'm happy to say that 80% of Americans do celebrate Easter. And some of the activities, as we said, we've got Easter egg hunts, but over almost half the people went to church service. They visited family and friends. They're cooking an Easter feast. So there's a lot. It's not just a day, as we had said with Catholics. It's not just Easter Sunday, but we do tend to celebrate Easter Sunday pretty well.
Yeah, and our priest again joked. He said, "Boy, it's great to see so many people here today. Come back next week too."
Oh yeah, isn't that the truth? Yeah. Absolutely, amen to that.
I remember writing a paper in college. I called it the Easter Bunny Catholics, and the 4-time. I had an analysis of the 4-timer Catholics. Baptism, maybe 5-time baptism, Easter, marriage, funeral. Yeah.
But I was listening to a wonderful podcast or a sermon from Father Bishop Barron. We all know Bishop Barron. Sure. And he was saying Easter we should consider to be like an earthquake. It's not just a casual thing. Jesus didn't just casually leave the gravesite. It was an earthquake, and it was huge. And so I think a lot of more people are going back to church services, traditional church, Catholic church. Oh my gosh, I think in D.C. it's almost like 1,600 people were admitted to the Catholic faith. And Duquesne, we also have a lot of students going to daily mass. So I think that's a good sign that, we celebrate Easter with all the retail, and that's what I teach and I market in a sense. But also the spiritual aspects and religion is huger than ever. Let's just say it's bigger than ever, bigger than life.
Yeah. Sometimes when times get uncertain, people turn to faith. And
that's true. That's true.
And that's a good thing, naturally.
And they're kind of uncertain right now.
Speaking of earthquakes going off, there's an earthquake coming to southwestern Pennsylvania next month.
Yeah.
It's not an exaggeration to say this is the biggest event to come to southwestern Pennsylvania, to the North Shore, Pittsburgh, to Point State Park. Is this the biggest event ever in this corner of the state?
As far as I know, it is. That's what all the media is saying, and they're predicting.
I'm sorry.
Well, you wonder why, Doug. I mean, like it's the NFL draft, okay, but we've over the past 10 years, Pittsburgh has spent $600 million to improve our area, which is a good thing, a new facelift for us, improving Market Square and various things. They're redding up, in a sense, which is cute to say, the black and gold NFL draft. And they already got rid of 400 tons of litter since September. And they're calling it, you ready for this one? The Immaculate Collection. Oh, we're so clever.
Playing back on the Immaculate Reception, but back when that first occurred, now it's hard to believe now, 52, 53 years ago, when Myron Cope called it the Immaculate Reception, at the time, the owner of the Steelers, who was Art Rooney Sr., called Bishop Leonard, who was the Catholic Bishop of Pittsburgh at the time, and of course the Rooneys are very Catholic, priests in their family, sisters, nuns, and he said, Bishop, is this a problem? We're using this name. He said, heck no. Go ahead.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you another story about that. So his mother, who was Italian, she was at home, and they were watching on TV, the whole family. For whatever reason, they didn't go to watch it in person. And so she was she left the room right before Franco caught the Immaculate Reception, and she was listening to Ave Maria.
No, maybe that's what did it. That's right.
Because that I'm sure. And a friend of mine who is very faith-based and religious and has a ministry of her own, Preborn Jesus, she met with Franco the day before he died, and she gave him a special rosary that she had created for him. And so, I mean, it's sad that he died, but, it was just truly a good man.
Yeah, he really was. We had him on this show the day they announced, the very day they announced they were going to retire as a number. And,
wow.
And then we were going to talk to him 1 week before the event. I spoke to him, and at 5 o'clock the next morning, I got word that he had passed away. That was what a good guy. Just down to earth, normal guy, committed
Great
to the
guy.
local folks.
He truly added to the beauty and the faith of the Pittsburgh area, Western PA, definitely. Yeah,
well, let's talk about that draft. Yeah, I don't know what would be a bigger event in a city these days, besides a national convention, perhaps. I don't know what else. The Olympics.
Maybe. But I don't think we can host. We're too small to host Olympics. Well, they're claiming it's a celebration of football, Pittsburgh, and consumerism. So, we've got the sports, we've got the region, we're showing it off. It's like, hey, everybody, come on to Pittsburgh. It's a good image booster. It's a good thing for the whole country to take a look at who we are. I am just shocked that between 400,000 and 600,000 people are going to come in, and they're going to spend about $160 million of direct spending. Right. Yikes.
To the point where Sheetz, for instance, has now made it free for people to ride public transit to the event.
Right.
That's a very nice contribution by that company. So they're telling folks, don't drive to the event. Don't be dropped off at the event. Especially in the South Hills, or if you're not just the South Hills, but anything more south of Pittsburgh. I was telling folks here in Fayette County, drive to South Hills Village, park there, and take the subway into town if you're going. That's the way to do it.
Right. A lot of the schools have, obviously all the Pittsburgh schools have closed.
Right.
Duquesne, we're still open, but we have the option to teach remote, so we'll see how that goes. But we're sort of on the bluff. We're a little bit protected, and we might not hit the big traffic masses, but we will find out. But, we've been readying up it. Like when we go around, I guess the city after everyone's left, the three sister bridges, they're going to have 400 hanging baskets, 400 trees were planted on General Robinson Street. The Western Conservatory filled up 420 street planters with black and gold pansies. So, maybe we go around a couple of days before and take a look at the city and enjoy the beauty of it, because it may not last after everybody leaves. And we have to, in a sense, literally red up and get rid of all the garbage that they've left behind.
I drive past the stadiums during my other job, my day job, as we call it in the business. And the facility, the thing they're building next to Acrisure Stadium is massive. This temporary event, I was shocked at how big it was. Shocked to a degree. A few years back, I was up at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with a friend, and it was the week before Cleveland was going to host the draft, and they had this setup of cyclone fences and walkways and security. You would thought the Pope was coming to town. And even the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which has hosted some pretty darn big events, was shocked by the size of the draft, because their facility was used as part of it as well. It is quite an event, and marketing genius, I suppose. You're the expert on this stuff. The fact that the NFL has made teams picking, hopefully, who will be their future players. It doesn't sound fancy when you say it like that, but the economic impact is massive.
Yeah, for some reason it's taken off. It's trending. People want to be here. People who are in Western PA were told to maybe not go, but I think everybody's going to go anyway. like you said, take mass transit, just enjoy a lot of the free festivities. And they've said that, if you want to go to a Super Bowl, if you want to go to a World Series or something, it's more for the upper class. You have to have a lot of money. It's not just the tickets, but the hotel and the plane. But here, this is family-based. And, it's a lot of the activities are free. And so wherever you're from in the country, a lot of people are coming here to enjoy that. And the beauty of Western Pennsylvania, which is awesome, and the Steelers being legendary, and the Rooneys, as we said, what great people they are and what they've done to the city, and, just the history and the legends that we have in Western PA and the Super Bowls and stuff. It's exciting. It'll be fun. So, Doug, are you going? You want to go with me?
Let's talk about that. Right. I've thought at first. I'm thinking, I don't want to be the old man saying, it's too crowded. The crowds are too big. No, it's one of those things you almost have to go to.
You have to go. Right? Yeah.
The Rolling Stones are in town. We had to go see them. One of those.
Of course.
Things. Yeah.
Of course. And before we leave, I wanted to mention that I've launched a new website. So if everybody wants to take a look at it, this is like the official launch. It's draudreygusky.com. I'm promoting my book that I'm finalizing. So there's a lot of information about the book. There's a lot of things, a lot of blogs that the students are writing, as we know, the Dream Team from Consumer Sense. A lot of information about myself, previous interviews that I've done. So it's a fun place to go. There'll always be something new, and I'm sure I'll be posting a lot of things about the NFL draft. I'll probably be there and do some live videos and things like that. So please check it out. And, of course, always go to We Make Sense for You, which is the Consumer Sense website, and also my Facebook and LinkedIn. You can check out things as well. Because, Doug, when we're on, I always post it and broadcast it. So your listenership is probably tripled.
It absolutely has. I hear from my daughters all the time that friends will say, hey, your dad had Dr. Gusky on, especially my daughter, Julia, who graduated from University. And she said, hey, so-and-so said they heard your interview or saw it on Facebook or wherever it might happen to be.
That's
but
great.
No, we always get the attention.
Great.
We appreciate your doing that. Yeah, the event, of course, the NFL draft is free. You do need tickets, but they're free tickets. And don't plan on tailgating. We had Rich Fitzgerald on, who knows a lot about the transportation plan for this thing. He said, yes, don't bring a grill. This is not tailgating central. This is not where you do that. You'll have time to do that at games. But it is amazing to think that something as simple as, this is who the 32 teams are picking for their future players, would turn into this beyond extravaganza.
Mega marketing. That's what it's all about, Doug. It's all about marketing.
It really truly is how big. I remember as a kid watching it when it was nothing. There was just these.
Right.
And back in the day, we joked, we have Rocky Bleier on occasionally, and Rocky Bleier was picked in 400th and something in the draft. And back when they used to have, back when they had like 20 rounds of the draft. And I said, not bad for a 400th round draft pick to win 4 Super Bowls.
Well, his story was, as you know, he was in the Vietnam War. He had been injured, and he came back. He not only taught himself to walk, but he obviously became a legend for Pittsburgh. But once again, a great guy, Franco Harris, Rocky Bleier. We've had some good sports figures here, good role models for all of us.
And of course, they weren't Pittsburghers, but they chose to they chose to be here. And
Franco he went to Penn State, didn't he?
Yes, he did go to Penn State. Yes.
So he was semi-local.
Yeah. I guess I should correct myself. Rocky Bleier was not picked 450th something. He was picked 417th overall. Yeah, not bad out of Notre Dame.
Okay, that's not bad. He did okay.
417th, and in the 16th round. I forget how many rounds there are now. I think it's half of that. But it's amazing.
It's all legends. So, it's all good, Doug.
Absolutely.
It's fabulous.
Dr. Gusky, thanks so much. We look forward to talking to you about our next holiday coming up,
which is probably Mother's Day. So we'll do that before Mother's Day. And God bless all of our listeners. Doug, you are the best. It's always so great to talk to you. Thank you.
Look forward to walking through the crowds with you at the draft.
We'll plan. We'll
and your book. Can't wait for your book to come out.
And the book, Itching for Better Service. Help yourself. Information is on the website.
Give me an advance copy, and I'll give you a quote for the flyleaf.
I will not only give you an advance copy, I will sign it for you.
Hey, thanks so much.
Free. God bless you, Doug. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Dr. Odrogowski joining us here on the early edition of the Afternoon Drive Show on the WMBS Newsmakers line here. We are with you till 6 o'clock tonight when you go to Pirate Baseball, that pregame. Taking on the Friars, as Greg Brown likes to say, at 6:15. We're also going to talk hockey today as well. But first, let's take a break as we wrap up our first hour. I'm Doug Saltzman. Coming up at 4 o'clock, the national news from CBS, followed by local, regional, and statewide news with TJ DeStefano. Again, I'm Doug. That's TJ. Thanks for listening. Stick around, folks. We will be right back.
Tune in to WMBS the second and fourth Thursdays monthly at 10:30 a.m. for an all-new radio program with Pete Crackle, Director of Clinical Operations and Pharmacist at Nickman's Drug. Pete will explore a myriad of health-related topics and talk about how a strong relationship with your pharmacist is vital for your best health. So mark your listening calendars and be sure to catch the all-new show the second and fourth Thursday each month. Need a pharmacy? Visit Nickman's Drug today at any of their 7 area locations.
In 1986, the Firestone Insurance Agency in Normalville was started with a promise to provide clients with truthful, friendly, and courteous service. It worked. With an expanded client base, the Firestone Insurance Agency's customers are now able to choose from over 20 well-known insurance companies. So whether it be auto, home, business, or life, Firestone has you covered, and the promise to provide truthful, friendly, and courteous service is still in place. As an independent insurance agency, the Firestone Insurance Agency works for you. They do the shopping for you to save you time and a bunch of needless phone calls. Because let's face it, no one loves to shop for insurance. Call the office at 724-455-3900 or visit firestoneinsurance.net. Can't make it to Normalville? Let the Firestone Insurance Agency bring service right to your kitchen table. The Firestone Insurance Agency, 724-455-3900 or firestoneinsurance.net. Doing what is right for the customer. Finding the most affordable rates while making sure there are no coverage gaps so you are fully protected from the unforeseen.
Coming back to the State Theater with an all-new show, Mutt's Gone Nuts, Unleashed, this Saturday, April 11th at 7 p.m. The whole family will enjoy seeing 12 of the world's most talented four-legged performers put on a comedy dog spectacular that will have you howling for more. The all-star lineup features a Guinness World Record holder, America's Got Talent fan favorite, and a host of amazing dogs. Tickets selling fast. Buy online at statetheater.info or call 724-439-1360 for half-price children's tickets.
The Roman Catholic Churches of Southern Fayette invite you to join us for the celebration of the Eucharist at one of our weekend Masses. The updated Mass schedule is as follows. Saturday Vigil Masses will be celebrated at 4 o'clock St. Therese, 4 o'clock St. Hubert in Point Marion, and 4:30 St. Mary. Sunday morning Masses will be celebrated at 7:30 St. Joseph, 8:30 St. Mary, 9 o'clock St. Cyril and Methodius in Fairchance, 10 o'clock St. Joseph, 10:30 St. John, and 11 o'clock St. Therese. A Sunday evening Mass will be celebrated at 5 p.m. at St. John. A rebroadcast of the Mass from St. Therese will air on WMBS on Sunday after the news at noon. Please check out our website, facesouth.org, for more information.
Pirates fans, the Tampa Bay Rays are in town to take on the Bucs on Saturday, April 18th at 4:05 p.m. for the first bobblehead night of the season. And this one is extra special because it features Paul Skeens with his National League Cy Young Award. All fans take home a one-of-a-kind collectible bobblehead featuring the Pirates ace Paul Skeens, all thanks to PNC. Get your tickets and check out all of our giveaways this season at pirates.com/promotions.
WMBS.
You know, when you hear a song like that, my gosh, that song's from the early 70s. We're talking over 50 years old. Still sounds pretty darn fresh to me, at least. I want to thank Dr. Odrogowski. Always a fun conversation with her. How about that? What was it? $18 billion was spent. Did I have that number right? $18 billion on Easter between candy and clothing and food, all different categories. And, of course, the economic impact. We talked about the draft, $160 million. is going to be spent. I guess I'll go down to the draft. How could you not? But you're going to have to be very patient. I live in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, so it's easy for me. I'm only about 5 minutes from a subway stop, but that doesn't mean I'm going to find parking. So I have a feeling I might walk the mile and a half to the subway stop and then head down into Pittsburgh for the festivities. I know my 4 daughters are all doing it. That's for sure. They want to go down there and have that fun cash, but it's free. But you do need a ticket. That's the thing you got to remember. You need a ticket. 44 degrees right now outside our Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law Studios. As I mentioned earlier, we're with you till 6 o'clock tonight. Coming up next at 4:15, Nick Barczyk and I will talk to Bob Grove, longtime member of the day game program for the Penguins. He's now, of course, a longtime analyst and historian for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Surprising season for the Pens. 4 games left this year. Obviously, they're heading into the playoffs. Unless the impossible happens between now and then. But wait and see what happens. Let's make sure they can get through at least one round of the playoffs. They haven't been in the playoffs in the last 3 seasons. Again, 44 degrees right now. Stick around for the 4 o'clock news from New York with CBS News, and then local, regional, and statewide news on your local station, WMBS Uniontown.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. President Trump posted on Truth Social earlier today that a whole civilization will die tonight ahead of his deadline with Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. CBS's Imtiaz Tayeb has more from Doha.
You have the president in his own post essentially saying that an entire civilization will die. And then you have the Iranians saying they have 14 million civilians prepared to die. It really just underscores just how serious this situation is, how high the rhetoric, how hot the rhetoric has become. There is some negotiations behind the scenes, all trying to see if they can find a path forward.
President Trump's deadline is 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Speaking in Budapest, Vice President J.D. Vance says,
"We're going to find out, but there's going to be a lot of negotiation between now and then, and I'm hopeful that it gets to a good resolution."
The president's threat has prompted Democrats in Congress, some United Nations officials, and scholars in military law to say such strikes would violate international law. A development in the case of a kidnapped freelance American journalist overseas. Latest from CBS's Olivia Gazis.
American journalist Shelley Kittleson has been freed after being kidnapped in Iraq roughly a week ago by militants linked to the Iranian-backed militia Kataib Hezbollah. That's according to Iraqi officials and a source familiar with the situation who spoke with CBS News. The exact circumstances and terms of Kittleson's release, including whether any concessions were made, are still unclear. Multiple sources told CBS News Kittleson had been identified in advance, with her name appearing on a list of American journalists that the group had been tracking for potential abduction.
A source familiar with the matter tells CBS News that in New York tomorrow, Rex Heuermann is expected to plead guilty in the Gilgo Beach murder case. Voters in Georgia's 14th congressional district are deciding who will replace former GOP Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. On the Republican side, it is Clay Fuller, a district attorney and former lieutenant colonel in the Air National Guard, who is backed by President Trump. The Democrat is Sean Harris, a farmer and retired Army general. Victor Kinsey Stout on what she is looking for in a candidate.
Listen to the people of our community. It's a conservative community, but there are a lot of folks here who aren't, and I want somebody that's going to listen to all of us.
Officials in Maryland say they have arrested members of a criminal network responsible for moving and selling drugs across the eastern shore of Maryland and other states. Maryland Governor Wes Moore says of the investigation, which began in late 2024,
it resulted in arrests of violent criminals who, had they not been arrested, would have continued to terrorize our communities.
Stocks have closed mixed on Wall Street. Oil closed down. This is CBS News.
Join Adriana Diaz and Kelly O'Grady for the perfect start to your weekend. Ease into your Saturday with CBS Saturday Morning on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
The heat is on at Live Casino. Think you can take it? Then catch the $18,888 Baccarat Fire Drawings. Play Baccarat daily to earn entries. Every Monday in April, we'll draw 18 winners to score a share of $18,888 in prizes. But that's not all. Every winner will be entered into our exclusive Lucky Fire cash drawing on Monday, April 27th. Take a seat. Feel the heat at Live Casino, Route 30 at Westmoreland Mall. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Experiencing symptoms of COPD? Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale has been selected to conduct a clinical research study, and participants are needed. All study-related care will be provided at no cost, and no health insurance is required. Compensation up to $2,200 for qualified participants for time and travel. To learn more, call Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale at 724-220-5281. That's Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale at 724-220-5281.
This could take a lot of grown-ups back.
American Girl doll is bringing back 8 of its original historical characters.
I think we'll be great friends. I've never had a real friend outside the family. What do you do now, Nellie O'Malley? Friends forever.
Samantha, Addie, Josephina, Kirsten, Kaya, Kit, Molly, and Felicity have returned in their signature outfits with original accessories, too, just in time to toast the collection's 40th anniversary. When she created the line, Pleasant Rowland was inspired by various eras of American history. The company was acquired by Mattel in 1998. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
The British government has blocked the rapper formerly known as Kanye West from entering the UK amid the controversy over his anti-Semitic statements. Ye had been expected to perform at the July Wireless Festival in London following the government ban on his entry to the country. The event organizers say it has been canceled. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
The local district and statewide news is being brought to you by AR Roofing and Remodeling. Call 724-550-3064 or visit arremodels.com for your free estimate. And now to the news. Good afternoon. It is 4:05. It's sunny and 44 outside of our Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law studios, helping those who are injured for over 40 years. Your local station, 590 AM, 101.1 FM, WMBS. I'm TJ DeStefano. Sports and weather will follow the news. Prosecutors in Fayette County say they plan to retry a man charged in the fatal shooting of a woman in Uniontown. 34-year-old Samantha Harden was shot outside McPatton's pub in June of 2022. The defendant, Terrell Jones, was being tried on a homicide charge in the case, but a mistrial was declared yesterday. A Derry Township man was tricked by a scam Monday after receiving a call from someone who claimed that he was delinquent on his electric bill. State police said the caller claimed to be representing Direct Energy and said the resident's power would be shut off if a payment wasn't made immediately. An email was sent with 2 temporary barcodes, and police said the resident was instructed to go to a Dollar General to make payments. The scammer got $981. Troopers said that legitimate utility companies will not ask for payment in that manner. The Federal Trade Commission agreed, saying that utility companies will not threaten to cut service if a payment isn't made immediately. Only a scammer will ask for payment by gift card or wire transfer. A state lawmaker introduced a bill that could change postseason play for high school sports. State Senator Marty Flynn said the legislation would give the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association the ability to establish separate playoff classifications and championship pathways for boundary and non-boundary schools. The bill has been referred to the Education Committee for consideration. The CDC is pausing over 30 infectious disease lab tests. Tammy Trujillo has more.
Health and Human Service spokesperson Andrew Nixon says it's a routine evaluation for quality control and the move will last just weeks. The lab test numbers have fluctuated throughout this year. Some public health experts say it's concerning because the tests include rabies and Mpox testing. Officials say actionable data is critical for health officials to be able to respond in a timely manner, which may help in preventing the next pandemic. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
WMBS time is 4:08. Sports and weather coming up next.
Wind, hail, sudden leaks. When your roof takes a beating, we're here for you at AR Roofing and Remodeling. We're a locally and veteran-owned contractor available 24/7 for repairs. As an Owens Corning Platinum Preferred Contractor, we get the job done right. Call 724-550-3064 or visit arremodels.com for your free estimate.
AR Roofing, never settle.
In sports, the Penguins, they are off tonight. They are going to visit the New Jersey Devils on Thursday night. Pens are 40, 22, and 16 and have won 2 in a row. Only 4 games left in the regular season for the Pens. Pre-game at 6, face-off at 7 on Thursday on WMBS. Penguins today named Erik Karlsson as the team's MVP for the season. This is the first time in 6 seasons that someone other than Sidney Crosby has received the award. Pirates, Game 2 tonight against the Padres at PNC Park. Pirates were shut out 5-0 last night. Paul Skeens will be on the mound tonight. Pirates are 6-4 on the season and will have the game on WMBS. The pregame will be at 6:15 and the first pitch is at 6:40. Clear skies tonight. It's going to be cold, going down to 26. Sunny, warmer tomorrow, 62, and will continue to get warmer as we move through the rest of the week. Mostly sunny, 75 Thursday, partly cloudy, 78 Friday. Clouds and sun Saturday, 66, and partly cloudy and 80 on Sunday. Right now it is sunny and 44 outside of our Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law Studios at 4:10 on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm TJ DeStefano, and up next it's hour 2 of the Afternoon Drive Show with Doug Saltzman on WMBS. The local district and statewide news has been brought to you by AR Roofing and Remodeling. Call 724-550-3064 or visit arremodels.com for your free estimate.
Pirates fans, the Tampa Bay Rays are in town to take on the Bucks on Saturday, April 18th at 4:05 p.m. for the first bobblehead night of the season. And this one is extra special because it features Paul Skeens with his National League Cy Young Award. All fans take home a one-of-a-kind collectible bobblehead featuring the Pirates ace, Paul Skeens, all thanks to PNC. Get your tickets and check out all of our giveaways this season at pirates.com/promotions.
Coming back to the State Theater with an all-new show, Mutt's Gone Nuts, Unleashed, this Saturday, April 11th at 7 p.m. The whole family will enjoy seeing 12 of the world's most talented four-legged performers put on a comedy dog spectacular that will have you howling for more. The all-star lineup features a Guinness World Record holder, America's Got Talent fan favorite, and a host of amazing dogs. Tickets selling fast. Buy online at statetheater.info or call 724-439-1360 for half-price children's tickets.
In 1986, the Firestone Insurance Agency in Normalville was started with a promise to provide clients with truthful, friendly, and courteous service. It worked. With an expanded client base, the Firestone Insurance Agency's customers are now able to choose from over 20 well-known insurance companies. So whether it be auto, home, business, or life, Firestone has you covered, and the promise to provide truthful, friendly, and courteous service is still in place. As an independent insurance agency, the Firestone Insurance Agency works for you. They do the shopping for you to save you time and a bunch of needless phone calls. Because let's face it, no one loves to shop for insurance. Call the office at 724-455-3900 or visit firestoneinsurance.net. Can't make it to Normalville? Let the Firestone Insurance Agency bring service right to your kitchen table. The Firestone Insurance Agency, 724-455-3900 or firestoneinsurance.net. Doing what is right for the customer, finding the most affordable rates while making sure there are no coverage gaps so you are fully protected from the unforeseen.
The weather's warming up and those big outdoor projects are calling. So, who are you going to call? Well, no. How about you call 3P Excavating and Plumbing of Smithfield? From French drains and septic systems to site prep for homes and buildings, plus driveway and utility line clearing, 3P's does it all. Get your property ready the right way. Call 3P Excavating and Plumbing today at 724-880-5215 or find them on Facebook.
Experiencing symptoms of COPD? Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale has been selected to conduct a clinical research study, and participants are needed. All study-related care will be provided at no cost, and no health insurance is required. Compensation up to $2,200 for qualified participants for time and travel. To learn more, call Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale at 724-220-5281. That's Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale at 724-220-5281.
Here's big news for local golfers. The Uniontown Country Club is now the South Union Township Municipal Golf Course. Recently purchased by South Union Township, this investment ensures the course stays open, well-maintained, and ready to be enjoyed by residents and visitors alike for generations to come. And here's the best part. This is your course. South Union residents receive exclusive resident pricing, including preferred tee times, discounted memberships, reduced green fees, and 10% savings. Make 2026 the year you elevate your game. Stop by the Pro Shop at 25 Bailey Lane in Uniontown to secure your membership today. Open play, great rates, and a course you'll love. Now proudly the South Union Township Municipal Golf Course, formerly the Uniontown Country Club. Don't miss your tee time. Join today.
Hour 2 of the Afternoon Drive Show on your local station, WMBS Uniontown. I'm Doug Saltzman. That's Nick Barczyk in studio now. Nick, every time I see you, you're thinner. What are you down now? What, 95 pounds?
Oh, it's just a number, Doug. It's really how you feel, just like age.
Oh, baloney. It's
no,
not.
it doesn't matter. I'm doing all right. I feel better, and it's really just for you, Doug.
You trim your hair now? I think
I'm all clean and scrubbed.
You're bathing regularly?
Not handsome,
it's a whole
no.
new thing for you.
It's a whole new outlook on
75
life.
pounds you've lost?
It's a lot. It took a while. I didn't do any of the
Well, you can't do it quickly.
Stuff.
You do it
No.
quickly, it comes right back.
Absolutely.
I've lost 35 pounds, and I'm happy.
You look great. Absolutely. Well,
Svelte.
You didn't have as much to lose. Svelte, all clean and scrubbed.
I'm as svelte as a young Swedish boy. Isn't that what Kramer said on Seinfeld?
I think it is.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
It's hard to remember.
So earlier we were talking with Dr. Audrey Gusky from Duquesne University. Do you want to guess how much money Americans spend on Easter?
Way too much. How much are chocolate bunnies?
$18 billion.
No, they don't. 18 billion?
Billion. Between,
what are they buying?
Between candy and food and clothing, travel.
You mean your Easter outfit for church and a chocolate bunny adds up to $18 billion?
Well, we decided people spend more money on Easter candy, she told me, than Halloween candy.
Wow.
Which seems surprising because you're giving away Halloween candy, but of course you're giving away like bite-sized Three Musketeers. You're not
Right.
giving away $49 Sarah's chocolate bunnies.
And people don't really exchange gifts on Easter, do they? I don't. Not in this
Well,
family.
you don't exchange.
Not in my house.
You give your kids stuff, I suppose.
I resent Christmas and birthdays. I have to give gifts for that. I mean,
Right.
Easter?
Yeah.
Enough already.
$18 billion.
That's a little much, people. Put
Yeah.
that money into a college
Well, you have
fund
to be
for your
colossally
nephew.
wealthy and famous to add to that amount of money. And speaking of which, our next guest,
Colossally.
joining us on the WMBS Radio Newsmakers line, I almost said CBS. Maybe,
Maybe.
we'll give that to
Maybe.
them at some point.
Well,
Yeah.
they're going
They're
under,
going
so-
away, that's right.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Penguins historian and analyst Bob Grove. Bob, did you spend part of that $18 billion on Easter, for heaven's sakes? It's amazing.
Of course. You got to buy some chocolate around Easter time. Absolutely.
Yeah, why not?
$18 billion Americans spend on
Seems
Easter.
a little much.
Just blows me away. It makes the NFL draft look like nothing, for heaven's sakes. There's only going to be $200 million spent.
Absolutely.
In
And I was going to
Pittsburgh.
say, does that count gas to get to the store to buy the Easter stuff?
I
Because gas
suppose.
is ridiculous right now.
I don't know. Are you
Yeah.
going to the draft, by the way, Nick?
I'm avoiding the area.
Are
I'm
you?
leaving Pittsburgh. I'm sure Bob is as well.
We'll start off with that. Completely unrelated to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Is Bob Grove going to the draft?
Well, it may not be because the Penguins may have playoff games those days. What are they going to do if there are Penguin games over the draft at Pittsburgh, Bob? If they,
Oh, good
if
heavens.
this works
I didn't
out
think
the
about
way
that.
it might. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the league, is looking at building availability is what really, kind of dictates when your series is going to start and end in any playoff series, and then so it won't be any different than normal for that. Look, I mean, I don't think the NHL is going to jump through hoops to wildly change the normal sort of procession of a first round series or second round, whichever first round series for the Penguins. Just because there's the draft. I think you just move on with it, and if they're home and happen to play one of those 2 days, then they play one of those 2 days.
Well, they could always play at the Ice Garden in Rostraver.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's where all the games should be.
Yeah.
Remember they won Hockey Town. Remember that Kraft Hockey Town? I don't know if that competition's still around. Rostraver won it one year, and they were going to play a preseason game there, but they determined the facility was not up to speed, so they had a practice there, which was probably just as cool for the folks that went out.
Yeah, there's no way you could play an NHL game in that rink.
Yeah, although they did, when we aired it here, they did play at Johnstown at the War Memorial.
That's right.
They won the Crafts Hockey Town competition. And that's the end of the conversation with Bob Grove. We're out of time. But let's talk Penguins. Hard to believe, 4 games left. Staggerwald called it, he said, I'm not sure, but are we a Cinderella team this year? He mentioned that on the air one day. It's certainly a surprising team this year, I suppose, is one way to put it. Do you agree?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question, Doug, that anyone who, if you go back and look at September, or early October predictions for what was going to happen in the upcoming NHL season, virtually no one had the Penguins as a playoff team. Virtually everyone had the Penguins as a draft lottery team. Get in the race for Gavin McKenna, the kid from Penn State, right? So yeah, they're a Cinderella team for sure. Now, as the year's gone on, as the season's gone on, they've sort of become less so because people have gotten used to the idea that, hey, this team's not so bad. But still, if they can nail down the playoff spot and they need just 2 more points in their next 4 games to do it, they're easily one of the stories of the season. I mean, I think the Buffalo Sabres are there too. They missed the playoffs 14 years in a row. They're in. They could win the division. They could go from being out 14 years in a row to winning the division. And there's some other great stories around as well. But the Penguins are certainly right there with everybody else.
And throw into that the fact that Sidney was out for almost a month. With an injury.
Yeah.
So, and of course the Malkin 5-game suspension. Yeah, if you had known that before the season started, nobody would have had any thought of the Penguins being where they are right now. And they've had some crazy games, scoring 9 goals. I mean, that's 6 goals in a period. That's unheard of.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things we've seen from the Penguins this season is that they've got more pop offensively than people really expected them to have. I mean, right now the Penguins are sitting as the 3rd highest scoring team in the league. That's not unusual for a Pittsburgh Penguins team, and Penguins fans will know that. But for this particular team, you just really didn't see it coming. But that shows you the kind of depth that they've had. I mean, Kyle Dubas, the general manager, has done a spectacular job of putting this team together. Dan Muse has done a spectacular job of coaching the team. I mean, you can't take anything away from either. Both of those guys should be receiving votes for GM and Coach of the Year, respectively, and a lot of votes. So they've done well. But I mean, that's what's happened. That's what's really helped the Penguins get to that ranking as the 3rd highest scoring team in the league. It's not just about Sid and Gino. And it's not just about, yes, you've got a huge impact from Igor Chinikov coming over in the trade from Columbus, but Brazeau's put up a career-high number of goals. Mantz has put up a career-high number of goals. No one expected Kindle to make the team. He's had a terrific year. No one's expected Soderblom to come over in this trade for Detroit and have the impact that he's had. And he's been pretty consistent. Raquel's been spectacular, player of the week in the National Hockey League, another 8-game point streak. You just go up and down the line. And unlike, the past few years for Penguins, it's not one line carrying this team. Everybody's contributing.
Speaking with Bob Grove, and Bob, how do they match up in the first round of the playoffs, this team down the stretch? What have they shown you that leads you to believe they can win a series in the first round?
Well, I mean, I look at the teams that they could potentially play, and I mean, right now, obviously, if the playoffs started right now, it'd be the Flyers, and I think a lot of people would not have expected the Flyers to get there this year either because they've been in a rebuild. They've, unlike the Penguins who've been out of the playoffs for 3 years, the Flyers have been out for 5, and they've been into a deeper rebuild than even the Penguins, and it didn't really look even halfway through this season like the Flyers were going to get to the playoffs, but they've been. Look, since the Olympic competition ended and the NHL resumed its schedule, the Flyers and the Buffalo Sabres have been the 2 best teams in the league. And the Flyers have done it not because they score, because they really haven't had a real dynamic offensive group, but they've got really, really good goaltending. Vladar's been good all year, but Erson in the second half has really been spectacular, and they've just played better defense under Coach Rick Tocchet. That's how they've won all these games here. Since then has been based on defense. Their power play's been the worst in the league for a number of years in a row now and continues to be bad. So you could be looking at that matchup. If the Islanders, if Peter DeBoer, their coach, he's got 4 games, he's got 4 games to try and get them in. Every Penguin fan knows the Islanders would have a thing with the Penguins in the playoffs, do they not? And they usually find a way to beat the Penguins. The Penguins only beat them once in the postseason. And so, but still, if you get there this year and it's the Islanders and not the Flyers, that's a series that the Penguins could win. If Columbus were to somehow get themselves up off the mat and find a way to get in, I don't really kind of see that coming, but it could happen. I see that. Look, the Penguins, to me, it doesn't matter who they play in the first round. Any of those teams they could beat. But I do think that's probably this Penguins team's ceiling is one round. I mean, if they go in the next, the second round, if they were to win and play Carolina, I just don't see them beating Carolina in a 7-game series. But if they get in, any of these teams, the Penguins can win that series.
And what would the goaltending breakdown be for a series for the Penguins with Skinner and Shelovs? How would that work out?
Well, that's something we're going to wait and see. I mean, Skinner's, he's been out. He took a puck in the eye here on the bench the other night and didn't dress for Sunday's game. But he'll be back possibly by Thursday. We'll see if he can get back. If you ask me, I'd say Skinner's probably your starting goaltender for the playoffs if the Penguins get in. But he's not had a great couple of months. Neither has Shelovs. I mean, really, I thought the Penguins goaltending tandem, those two, before them, Jari, before he got moved to Edmonton, I thought the goaltending was much better in the first half of the season than it's been in the second half. It's not been great. They've had their moments, but they've leaked in a lot more goals than you would expect. And some of that is because the team, the Penguins, they're still in a rebuild, and their defense still needs work. It's better, but it still needs work, and they still give up a lot of high quality chances.
The Penguins have scored a significant amount of goals in some of these games. Does that change then the effectiveness or the drive of the defense? You score 6 goals in a period. At times, yeah, the second half of the season, I would agree with you. The goaltending hasn't been great. But when you score that many goals, doesn't it take the drive out of the defense to do their job as good as they should?
Well, I mean, over the course of a game, you build up a big lead, and they might get a little lackadaisical about how they're playing back there because they think the game is over. But it shouldn't really affect the way they look at doing their job game in and game out. Because, again, if you look at this Pittsburgh team, you give them all the credit in the world for the team they put together, the way they've gotten it done this year and surprised everybody. They're still not a great defensive team. And that's still a big, big problem for them. The quality of chances, the number of chances they give up, and now, as I said, here in the second half, the goaltending has been a little spotty for me. So they should have plenty of motivation, regardless of what the guys are doing at the other end of the rink, how many they're scoring. And they really should be looking at ways they can get more consistent in front of their own zone with their coverage and the way they move the puck, because they're really vulnerable right now to a lot of forechecking pressure. And that's something like if the Islanders play them in the playoffs, that's something you have to deal with. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think they can beat Carolina, because nobody forechecks in the league like Carolina. And that would be the Penguins' problem in a series with them. So those guys on defense, they should be looking at every game as an opportunity to sort of get back in a groove. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, I think some of their goals against issues have been lately with Blake Lizotte out. Their penalty kill's not been good.
And we're speaking with Bob Grove, preeminent Penguins historian, on the Afternoon Drive show with Doug Saltzman, Nick Barczyk. And Bob, it was announced today the Penguins have named Erik Karlsson their team MVP. What do you make of that selection, and what has he brought to the table this year that maybe was unexpected?
Yeah, you know what, Nick? I think that's the right call. He's been absolutely amazing. It's been a throwback. It's like go back a few years to see Erik Karlsson play like this. Look, his first 2 years in Pittsburgh were not good. I mean, they were okay. They weren't bad. They were okay. But he was often a liability in his own zone. And there's no question that the coaching change is what sparked this. I mean, Mike Sullivan's big deal was always with the Penguins, the less time we have the puck in our own zone, the better. So the job for defensemen was move it quickly, move it all the time, up to the forwards, move it and move it quickly, north-south, north-south. That's how he wanted to play. That's not really Karlsson's game. Karlsson's game is more, give me the puck, and if I have to, I'll skate around everybody in my own defensive zone and get it out. And he has done that a number of times this season. I mean, Erik Karlsson right now, under Dan Hughes, has the ability to just, play his game, which is possess the puck, skate with the puck. He loves to try home run passes. He always has felt like that. But, this is just a better suited style of play for him, and he has just responded big time. They gave him a chance to kill some penalties earlier this season. In the second half, the last 2 months, there's no defenseman in the league's put up more points than him. He's been amazing, so I think it's the right call.
Yeah. One more question for you, Bob, if you have time. We appreciate every time you join
Sure.
us, of course. The team's obviously pushing for second place in the Metro, and that would guarantee them home ice advantage for the first round. How much of a difference does that make, in your opinion, that home ice advantage?
I'll be honest with you. I think it's a bit overrated. It's great for the team because you can, pack you can make a little money, obviously, pack your own place 4 times instead of 3 over the course of a potential 7-game series. But look at the Penguins this year, Doug. They're a better road team than they are a home team. I mean, they've not been real great at home. I mean, they just haven't. So, and I can think of, look, it wasn't until a few years ago that the Penguins ever lost a Game 7 on the road. Every Game 7 for the first 5 or 6 they ever played in the playoffs, they won them all. So, and teams will say, hey, look, I love having home ice because if it comes to a Game 7, we get it at home. Well, go look at the numbers for that, and the numbers will tell you that the road team wins a lot of those. And certainly that was always been true for the Penguins. So if I look at it, I think that's a little overrated. It's good to have because as a coach you get the last change and all that stuff. I wouldn't say I wouldn't want it, but I certainly wouldn't get too worried about whether you have it or not.
Bob Grove joining us on the Afternoon Drive Show. Bob, you've joined us several times during the regular season. We'd like to talk to you at least one more time during the first round of the playoffs as they start. Hard to believe now, a little, 2 weeks those playoffs will start. Yeah. And maybe we'll try to talk to you during the second round, too, at least a wrap-up. But you always do give us a lot of time, and we appreciate that very much. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
All righty.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob Grove joining us on the WMBS Radio Newsmakers line here on your Afternoon Drive Show. I'm Doug. That's Nick. We're going to hit that CBS News brief coming up. Then we're going to check in with our friend Larry Magid. Of course, he is technology analyst extraordinaire. We usually talk to him naturally about technology. Not usually, always. Today we're going to talk about his thoughts on CBS News Radio going out of business. Hard to believe, next month. May 22nd, I think, is the date. So we're going to check in with him. But first, as I mentioned, we're going to head to CBS News in New York for the news brief. I'm Doug. That's Nick. Stick around. Thanks for listening.
CBS News brief. The White House says President Trump has been made aware of a proposal by Pakistan's prime minister to extend his Iran deadline by 2 weeks. Pope Leo says of President Trump's threat on social media today to destroy Iranian civilization is truly unacceptable.
Asking all people of goodwill to search always for peace and not violence, to reject war, especially a war which many people have said is an unjust war.
Voters in Georgia's 14th congressional district are deciding whether Republican Clay Fuller or Democrat Sean Harris will replace former GOP Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. This voter is looking for
a common sense candidate. I don't care what ticket they run out. I'm looking for common sense.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore says they've busted up and have arrested members of a major drug ring on the East Coast.
Confiscation of more than $23,000 resulted in the confiscation of 11 firearms.
CBS News Brief. I'm Jennifer Kuiper.
It's spring, and everything is growing, and Madewell Services is here to help. They offer full lawn care service, including spring cleanups, mulching, landscaping and planting, weekly grass cutting, power washing, and more. Madewell Services also provides professional cleaning services for your home or office, moving in or out service, party cleanups, weekly cleanings, and junk removal. Licensed and insured for peace of mind. Call Madewell Services today at 724-912-1805. That's 724-912-1805 for a free estimate.
Bright Stripe, Bay County's premier asphalt seal coating professionals. Locally owned by Matt and Lexi George. Bright Stripe specializes in residential and commercial asphalt seal coating, also excelling in line striping and layouts, thermoplastic, and infrared asphalt repair. Bright Stripe has succeeded due to their commitment to quality work for 30 years. Bright Stripe, 724-437-6090, or visit bright-stripe.com. BRITE-stripe.com.
It's time to make your tax refund work for you at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. Now through April 30th, don't miss their Double Your Tax Refund event, where they'll match your refund up to $2,500 when you put it towards a new home. Find a home that fits your family, your style, and your future with the features you've been dreaming of. So what are you waiting for? Stop by Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon today at 4500 Route 51 and take advantage of this limited time offer. Some exclusions may apply.
Tune in each Saturday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. right here on WMBS 590 AM and FM 101.1 for Garden Talk Radio. It's the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show, topic focused, guests from across the country, and answering your garden questions. Send your questions in now to gardentalkradio@gmail.com or call anytime to 1-800-927-SHOW. That's every Saturday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. right here on WMBS 590 AM and FM 101.1. Catch the replay Monday evenings from 6 to 7 p.m.
The heat is on at Live Casino. Think you can take it? Then catch the $18,888 Baccarat Fire Drawings. Play Baccarat daily to earn entries. Every Monday in April, we'll draw 18 winners to score a share of $18,888 in prizes. But that's not all. Every winner will be entered into our exclusive Lucky Fire cash drawing on Monday, April 27th. Take a seat, feel the heat at Live Casino, Route 30 at Westmoreland Mall. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, everybody. This is Matt Sapienza, WMBS's Morning Man, here to remind you of the letters for this week's Name It and Claim It Scrambled Word Game. We have lucky number 7 letters in this week's puzzle, 7, and they are as follows. U as in user, I as in interface, T as in technology, B as in board, E as in electric, R as in router, and T as in transmitter. Those letters make up one word. You must use all the letters in your answer. No proper names, please. Should you unscramble the letters into the word we're looking for and are the lucky one chosen, well, you will win for yourself a set of tickets to see Gone to Paradise at the State Theater Center for the Arts in Uniontown on Saturday, May 9th at 7 p.m. It's a Jimmy Buffett tribute band. So you want to go see that show? Here's what you got to do. Send in your answer along with your name, address, and phone number to Name It and Claim It, WMBS Radio, 44 South Mount Vernon Avenue, Uniontown, Pennsylvania, 15401. Or if you really feel like it, you can drop your answer off personally here at the WMBS Broadcast House at that very same address. Either way, make sure your cards get in by no later than this Thursday at 4 o'clock. That's April 9th. So enter as many times as you like. No purchase is necessary, because it's all from us, your local station, 590 AM, 101.1 FM, and of course on your device of choosing, WMBS Uniontown. So act now and act fast, because you very well could be the winner. Best of luck.
Welcome back to the Afternoon Drive Show on your local station, WMBS Radio. I'm Doug Saltzman. That's Nick Barczyk. You know, I just spilled part of my coffee here on my laptop, and there was several years ago, I was at another radio station, and I caused $12,000 worth of damage by spilling my coffee on the board.
Only 12? Wow. Good for you, Doug.
Yeah, and I was never asked to reimburse. To this day, I don't know why.
That's amazing. If you did that here, you wouldn't be allowed back on the grounds.
A memo went out saying, please have a lid on your coffee when you're in studio. That went to everybody.
Not a dime you had to pay.
Not
That's
a dime.
Amazing.
$12,000 worth of damage.
It's very generous for a part-timer like you. Who,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that
nobody's
was,
turning on the radio. No, I won't get into it.
That's
You're not exactly Limbaugh in his prime, Doug, is what I'm getting at. You're a fine broadcaster.
You mentioned Rush Limbaugh in his prime. Our next guest might hang up on us, for heaven's sakes.
Uh-oh.
You know, it's a...
Well, I don't agree with his politics either, but he was a heck of a broadcaster. That's not an opinion.
I guess you're right. That's right. And, of course, he was at, Wixie, right? W-I-X?
McKeesport,
Yeah,
right?
McKeesport.
He was Doug Christie. Was that his name?
Doug Christie.
How can I remember that, but not what I
Which
supposed
is funny.
to do
That
today?
was a radio name. His real name was Rush Limbaugh.
That is amazing.
I've never known anybody named Rush.
Was he named after the band, or I think he was probably born before?
Before the band. Yeah.
Anyway.
And speaking of radio and radio changing over the years, a big one's coming up here, and we've talked about it on air here on the Afternoon Drive Show. Shocking, but not so shocking, I suppose, given all the changes at CBS and in media as a whole. I guess just speaking of CBS, they just announced who's going to replace Colbert's show. The show's being eliminated, which is hard to believe.
The TV network's going to stay on. The radio's going away, but
the question is, did they try to sell it? They have 700 affiliates. This is not a radio network that has 12 12 stations out
Yeah,
there.
it's not mom and pop.
We were saying, imagine the day that they announced that CBS Radio will shut down on May 22nd.
It's so sad.
It is. Imagine the emails going around from 700 affiliates to potential other affiliates.
Oh, absolutely. We're reaching out to. We talked to some guy who reads the news in his basement in Apollo. No, I made that up.
We could.
We're
we
desperate,
could try
man.
That. But of course, a long time on CBS as a tech analyst. We ruled the day when CBS made the decision that Larry shouldn't be on their network anymore. I didn't quite understand that, but still beyond prominent nationally, of course, on his technology analysis. And joining us right now on the WMBS Newsmakers line, our friend Larry Magid. Larry, were you shocked by the news that CBS Radio was shutting down, or I thought it would just have new ownership, perhaps?
There's a tired phrase, I think, shocked but not surprised. Yeah, it was shocking, and I didn't expect it to shut down. I figured it would have more layoffs. There were so many. I survived many, and then got caught up in one in 2020 myself. But no, I didn't think they would shut down. I still don't understand the economics of it. I mean, I don't know if it was losing money or not making enough money, or it wasn't. I don't know what the problem was, but all I know is that it's a national tragedy to lose such an important network. And despite streaming, despite podcasting, and despite TV being, having a bigger overall audience in the evening than radio reaches millions and millions of people every day. And I know that the pass along, the potential listenership of those 700 people, 700 stations, is a big percentage of the American population. So, nobody asked me, but I thought it was a stupid decision.
Yeah, we don't quite understand it here. When you think about the amount of affiliates, and that sounds like an inside baseball term, but that's just simply the radio stations out there across the country that air CBS News and their various shows they have throughout the week, including one of that you had with CBS.
I still do.
I
still have the Connect Safely report. Yeah.
I'm sorry that you have with CBS News. I said that wrong. And which
I will for the next month or so. Right. Yeah.
And if you still have it, we will still continue to air it here at.
I'll have it one way or the other. It's not going away.
Right.
I mean, and of course, at the very least, it'll be streamed. But hey, we'll figure out a way to get it on the air as well.
When you talk about something like CBS News Radio, and it's not just myth, and it's just not stuff that people made up. Edward R. Murrow was standing on rooftops reporting during the Blitz when the Nazis were attacking London, and Walter Cronkite, flew on fighter planes during World War II and manned guns at times. And he made the decision he was not supposed to be a fighter. But when you read his autobiography, he said, if our plane was shot down and I was killed, I probably wouldn't get to report much more, is what he said. So he felt, okay, I'm going to man a gun and protect this plane from being shot down by the Luftwaffe.
And he wore an army uniform, which I found very interesting.
Right. I guess
you put him in a uniform.
Almost for the just for the camouflage effort. They said one time he was driving along and his helmet went flying off, and he yelled at the driver in this Jeep to stop to get his helmet. He said, "No, we don't stop to get a helmet. Next time, strap it on better." He said, "We're not stopping this convoy so you can go get your helmet." And then they came upon a colonel who started yelling at him for not wearing a helmet. And when this colonel realized he was a member of the Fourth Estate, he said, he couldn't yell at him anymore.
And by the way, being in harm's way is not something of the past. I had a colleague, a friend, I don't know if you know Cammie McCormick, who was a reporter and an anchor for CBS. She was over, I think, in Afghanistan and lost her foot in, many horrible roadside bomb situation. The soldier that was with her in the car, I think the driver was killed, and it's a risky business. Journalists are risking their lives as we speak in the Middle East right now. And these are people who bring us important news, and, they're essential. They provide a very essential service.
Yeah, and there are still other ones out there. ABC has, of course, has affiliates. NBC doesn't. I was surprised. I started doing research here right away when we got that news to see what might be available for this station, and we will have a national news presence. We will be reporting, and we will be affiliated with a national organization. But I had forgotten that NBC doesn't have a radio news anymore, and that's been quite some time.
I have a microphone, or I had a microphone. I worked for CBS, which had etched on it MBS, which stood for Mutual Broadcasting System. that CBS News Radio acquired. I'm not sure what year they acquired Mutual, but I remember one of my early radio experiences was I would fly from my home in the San Francisco Bay Area to Washington, D.C. to be on Larry King's radio show. I was a regular guest on Larry King when he was on Mutual Broadcasting. And he had offices or studios in Arlington, Virginia. And now, of course, Mutual was part of CBS and is no longer part of anything.
Yeah, you see those photos of FDR doing his fireside chats, or back in the days when giving State of the Union addresses, the affiliates would have their microphones. They're in the, they don't do that anymore, naturally, but they would have those right in the hall of the U.S. House of Representatives. And that one always said MBS, which we always kid about around here, and we throw a W in front of on some photos sometimes. And just
right. You guys had
before WMBS.
And, of course, you'll always see CBS microphones there as well.
Oh, yeah.
I have in my home studio 6 CBS News microphone flags. Some of them say CBS News Radio, which is the current name, and some of them say CBS Radio News, which was the name until I think in 2019 or so they changed the name for some reason.
Yeah, those name change things always surprise me at times. The cost of something, it sounds simple. Change it from CBS Radio News to CBS News Radio. And that's big money. That is a lot of change that takes place just to change a name. U.S. Air, which had a huge, of course, base here in Pittsburgh, hub, I should say, changed the name from U.S. Air to U.S. Airways at one point. Repainting the planes alone was $50,000. I never quite understand sometimes the name change game. There's a public transit here called Port Authority Transit, which they changed the Pittsburgh Regional Transit when everybody called it PAT. Now it's PRT. It's an enormous expense. Changing the Department of Defense to Department of War. I mean, they haven't gone full on that. They're not changing names everywhere.
Well,
but
Congress hasn't approved that one yet.
Right.
So
yeah.
We'll have to see what happens with that.
So let me. Is it just radio, or from a standpoint of kind of an end of the era questions? What happens when you have things like the extensive audio history of CBS News, iconic coverage of Edward R. Murrow? I assume those are going to be preserved somewhere. Obviously, they're not just going to go
of course
away.
They'll be preserved, if not by the CBS Corporation, by, many of them are on the public domain somewhere. I hope, I do know, having spent a lot of time on West 57th Street, which is where CBS News Radio is broadcast from, is there are libraries of tape. Some of it's been digitized, and I assume the digital archives are relatively easy to, they probably all fit on one SSD, big memory card. But they also have a lot of tape from a long time ago that they've never, at least as far as I know, they've never digitized. And I would love to see all of it digitized, because there's a wealth of information. Some of it very famous events, but some very obscure. And you never know. I don't know if you've ever had this situation where someone has died, for example, and you have to come up with some sound immediately of them. And I remember when, now I'm forgetting his name, the guy who, Moore's Law, what was Moore's first name? When he passed on, I had interviewed him. I'm forgetting his first name all of a sudden. But anyway, I was able to find my digital interview with him, and we put that on the CBS News Network, and we had it. And you never know when this audio is going to be useful.
Well, it's the obscure stuff, frankly, I think is more important than saving. I mean, we're always going to have, what Walter Cronkite had to say, and we're always going to have what Edward, or you would hope, Edward R. Murrow. But it's funny, though, back in the day, the idea of archiving things just wasn't important. When you think something, professional baseball games, MLB games before the 70s were rarely saved. There's very few videos of baseball games from the 60s because they reused the tapes. I mean, think of that. The only reason they found a recording, an audio and video recording of the 1960 World Series in which the Pirates beat the Yankees was because one of the owners back in the day was out of the country, so he had it videotaped, one of the very early VCR-type videotapes. And they found it in his wine cellar. What was it, Nick? 40 years later?
Yes, at least.
When they found out in
Bing
Crosby's basement. He was part owner of the Pirates. And that's the only reason they have a video of it. It just seems strange they didn't feel the need to save stuff like that back in the day.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I know that even there's a lot of old movies that we don't have any prints of them. And sometimes they'll find an old print and they'll send it to a lab at, I think in L.A. or somewhere and restore it. I know that Universal Studios, if you go to Universal Studios Hollywood, they have on the premise a lab where they restore old movies and do an amazing job. I'm a fan of TCM, Turner Classic Movies. I like to watch old black and white movies, and some of them are brilliantly restored. Some of them are grainy, and many of them don't exist because nobody thought to keep a copy.
Yeah, right here in southwestern Pennsylvania, there's something called Iron Mountain Facility in Boyers, PA. And it's an old limestone mine where they literally store millions of images, whether it's video or photographs. And this facility is perfect for that sort of thing because of the perfect humidity for storing things. And they finally realized the importance of storage of physical documents, digital data, sensitive materials. I remember we have a guest coming on the next hour with WQED TV, the public station here locally, and he talked about underground Pittsburgh, he called it. And one of the underground things was this, and what amazing what they have in those storage facilities when they finally decided, okay, maybe we better store this stuff better than in somebody's storage warehouse.
Yeah. And one of the problems with the modern age is you need some of these mediums that things are stored on are proprietary, like VHS, Betamax, and Super 8. I don't know, all the different medium, and people don't necessarily have devices to watch. Like I have a ton of video that I took of my kids when they were little, and I have nothing to play it on.
Oh.
At some point, the machine broke, or I lost it, or I didn't bother. And there are services that can turn it into digital, but they're very expensive.
I've got boxes of 8mm tapes from my camcorder.
Yeah, 8mm. Right, and the problem is that most of it's junk, and if you can't view it, you have to pay to have it digitized, and it's going to be expensive.
Right.
To digitize all of it for the precious few moments that you actually might want to reuse and rewatch.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. The idea of sentimentality we always talk about. The younger generation makes me feel old. Doesn't have that, and
I have on my desktop computer, I have files that were written initially in WordStar, which was a word processing program that was very popular in the 80s, because that's when I started writing my LA Times column, and I used to use WordStar. I still have those files, and it's difficult, but there are ways I can actually, turn them into modern files that I can put on my website if I wanted to. I don't bother, but I could.
Right.
But, there are some files I have from software that are proprietary. I literally can't open them.
Yeah. But then over the years, after my working for our own inspector, people said, oh, you ought to write a book. So I decided, okay, I'm going to start writing some things down. And I had about 150 pages of double-spaced stuff that I put on a floppy disk. I can't get it to work. I have given it to anybody I know who could turn that into something.
You could be a millionaire. You could be up there with James Patterson at this point, John
I'm not
Grisham.
quite sure about that. But, yeah, it's on a floppy disk. I still have that floppy disk sitting at home. I can't get anybody to be able to find. And I've taken to people who could figure it out, and they said, Doug, this got corrupted somehow.
Well, speaking of millionaires or would-be millionaires, I know a guy who a long time ago got some Bitcoin, I think a few $1,000s worth of Bitcoin, which is now worth about $1 million, and he cannot find the key. There is some kind of digits that he needs, and because he can't find them, he's out $1 million, which is just unbelievable.
I'm out $1 million too. Nick, you're out. You're short $1 million.
I've been looking for it. I lost it. I had
it somewhere. I don't know where it is.
It's hiding in the couch.
Well, if I find it, I'll send it your way.
It's
in the couch cushion.
I'm sure our listeners are shocked. We're talking about the demise of CBS News, and we're on to Bitcoin. So that's a standard interview between Doug and Larry.
Yeah.
That's right.
With me. But, back to the CBS News thing. I mean, in some ways I feel like I'm part of the problem in the sense that it's the technology that I have been talking about. I won't say promoting, to some extent promoting, but talking about that has contributed to the demise of CBS News Radio, because these days people get their news from many, many digital sources, whether it's social media, whether it's podcasting, whether it's blogging, although blogging's not that big a deal anymore. And I remember when podcasting first came around, I was early, and I actually had a job in a company in 1999 producing a podcast. We didn't call it podcast. We didn't have that word yet. And I remember going up to my folks some of the folks at CBS News and telling them about this, and they didn't take it seriously. They didn't really, they didn't jump on the bandwagon. And eventually, of course, they did, but maybe too little too late. I mean, I don't want to blame the excellent folks that I worked for, who I have nothing but good regard for. But, you know, the New York Times figured out on time how to move over to digital, and they managed to get despite what Donald Trump said, they are not a failing organization, doing very well. And they're doing very well because they have millions and millions of people who read the newspaper online, far more than have ever read it on print. And, you know, there's no reason in theory why CBS News couldn't have made that transition. But for whatever reason, they never fully could.
It's interesting sometimes where media will be. We were in pretty early around here, Nick, having a website and having being and for a family-owned company. And a lot of people don't realize that. We are family-owned. It'll be 90 years old next year, our station here. And it's we don't just do it as a public service. We're still here because it's making money for its owners.
Great.
And you have to adjust. I remember Fred Hansberger, who was with KDK Radio. Fred has since died. He had a website before the radio station did. There's an example of it. He beat the station to having a website.
Yep. I probably had a website before CBS News did. I'm sure I did.
Yeah.
I had a website in the mid-'90s.
Yeah. I had a friend in high school who had her name was Rita, Rita.com. She had a website. And it had to be pretty darn early to get Rita.com.
Absolutely. Well, I got Larry'sWorld.com.
Yeah. Well, Larry, we appreciate your joining us to talk about this. I was off the air last week because I was preempted by sports. And we were going to talk to you then, but I didn't want you to think we forgot about you. But we appreciate your memories of CBS News Radio, CBS Radio News, whatever they want to call it these days. And look forward to always appreciate it.
And even though it's off topic, I can't help but say this is a very, very serious day. I mean, something could happen tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, which could have a huge impact on the world. And I just, you know, it's been on my mind all day. I had to say it.
Oh, no, I know what you're talking about, of course. And we've been reporting on it here, what might happen in the Mideast and Iran. We'll wait and see what happens on that topic. And we will cover it here at WM.
I'm sure you will, on radio.
Yes, we will. All right, Larry. Hey, thanks so much.
Take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Take care. Larry Maggot joining us here, of course, larrysworld.com, connectsafely.org. Make sure you check out those websites. It always has great information. And we just wanted to talk to him. Of course, he was a part of CBS as an analyst for many, many years. Very disappointing that they decided to drop him. I can't believe it's all the way back to 2020. But he's been on the air with us regularly ever since, and I hope some of the CBS folks who will be out of work, sadly, wherever they're going, we hope to have them back here as analysts as well. Stick around. We're going to wrap up hour number 2 in a moment.
Feeling lucky? Your next big jackpot is waiting for you. Visit the casino at Nemacolin in Farmington, PA for the ultimate casino experience featuring the hottest table games, daily promotions, big-time giveaways, and an exciting variety of premium slots. And after, celebrate your big win with a juicy burger at the Royale while you watch the big game. Hotel packages available. Visit CasinoNemacolin.com for more information. The Casino at Nemacolin. Game on. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Tune in to WMBS the second and fourth Thursdays monthly at 10:30 a.m. for an all-new radio program with Pete Crackle, Director of Clinical Operations and Pharmacist at Nickman's Drug. Pete will explore a myriad of health-related topics and talk about how a strong relationship with your pharmacist is vital for your best health. So mark your listening calendars and be sure to catch the all-new show the second and fourth Thursday each month. Need a pharmacy? Visit Nickman's Drug today at any of their 7 area locations.
CareerLink is your one-stop resource for employment and training-related services. Visit CareerLink and you'll have access to many programs and agencies for assistance with economic, educational, and job-related needs. For more information on all the programs available to you, contact CareerLink at 724-434-JOBS. That's 724-434-JOBS.
Mountaintop Title and Notary can handle all of your motor vehicle and PennDOT needs, such as titles, plates, renewal, registrations, and all notary needs. Tina Nicholson of Mountaintop Title and Notary can also handle ATV and boat titles and also does income taxes. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4:30, and appointments can be made for after hours and Saturdays. Mountaintop Title and Notary with a new location at 655 Nelson Road in Farmington, the only place you need to go for all title, notary, and tax work. Call Tina at 724-984-1514 for the most professional services around.
Are you ignoring repeated notices that you owe PA Turnpike tolls? Think it will just go away? Wrong. Unpaid tolls don't vanish. They stack up fast. And so do the penalties. Suspended registration, mounting fines, court action. You can't dodge it, you can't outrun it. It's time to pay your fair share. Call 877-736-6727 to set up a payment plan. The PA Turnpike. Pay now. It's the law. Paid for by the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission.
I can't think of his name, but that's a popular singer bringing us out of the break there.
Yeah, BS or the
Bruce
initials.
Springsteen. I think it's from Jersey.
Oh, it's not Bob Saget?
No,
No, that's Bob Seger.
Bob Seger.
Yeah.
No, that was actually Bruce Springsteen.
That was Bruce Springsteen.
Bringing us out of the break.
Yes.
Thank Larry
He's
Maggott
great.
for joining us. Coming in studio in the next hour. In fact, he's probably out in the parking lot right now. Rick
pacing.
Seaback. He has a new documentary just came out yesterday, but it's going to be re-airing quite a few times, so we will talk to him about that. We were going to have him on last week to talk about the preview or the premiere. That's the word I'm looking for.
Something like that.
But I was not on the air last week. So he's going to be in studio with us for the whole 5 o'clock hour following the national and local news, talking about his latest documentary. That's a tease. And it includes parts from right here in Fayette County where our station's located. Again, CBS News coming up on your local station, WMBS Uniontown. I'm Doug. That's Nick. 44 degrees right now outside our Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law Studios. Thanks for listening. Stick around.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. President Trump has received a proposal from Iran that could postpone any threatened action against Iran if it fails to agree to a peace deal tonight. CBS's Linda Kenyon reports from the White House.
The proposal conveyed by the Prime Minister of Pakistan states diplomatic efforts for peaceful settlement are, quote, progressing steadily, strongly, and powerfully, with the potential to lead to substantive results in the near future. To allow diplomacy to run its course, I urgently request President Trump to extend the deadline for 2 weeks. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responded, the president has been made aware of the proposal and a response will come.
The Pope is criticizing President Trump's threats to civilian targets in Iran. CBS's Allison Keyes with more.
Without mentioning the United States, Pope Leo XIV is calling the threat against all the people of Iran unacceptable.
Reject war, especially a war which many people have said is an unjust war.
The pontiff adds that the war on Iran is
It's only provoking more hatred throughout the world.
Pope Leo is calling on citizens of all the nations involved to tell authorities to work for peace. Allison Keyes, CBS News.
A Georgia runoff election is underway to replace former GOP Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Republican District Attorney Clay Fuller is a former lieutenant colonel in the Air National Guard and has President Trump's support.
I really have heard positive things about President Trump's economic plan, and they just want to see it through.
Democrat Sean Harris is a farmer and retired Army general.
We'll be moving into a whole new thing of saying somebody's going to represent all the people here in Northwest Georgia.
Harris performed slightly better than Fuller in a special election on March 10th, but neither secured a majority of the vote, forcing today's runoff. Now that the Artemis II crew has completed the journey around the far side of the moon, they have 3 days until their arrival on Earth. CBS senior space consultant Bill Harwood.
They're going to brief the scientists later, talking about the observations they made. They're going to start packing up that capsule because if you've seen all the video of the crew inside, it's fairly cramped. And then for re-entry day, which is Friday, they're going to hit the atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour.
A source tells CBS News that in New York tomorrow, Rex Heuermann is expected to plead guilty in the Gilgo Beach murder case. Meantime, the son of one of the victims has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the accused serial killer and his family. John Ray is the attorney for the family of Valerie Mack.
We claim in the suit that Rex Heuermann tortured, slaughtered, murdered Valerie Mack, and there's a wrongful death suit for that.
The U.S. urges citizens to reconsider traveling to Saudi Arabia for the Hajj pilgrimage scheduled for later this month. This is CBS News.
Go to the ends of the earth, half a world away. Reach for the stars.
If I take time to think, they might go get Brad.
On CBS, Sunday morning.
Tune in each Saturday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. right here on WMBS 590 AM and FM 101.1 for Garden Talk Radio. It's the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show, topic-focused, guests from across the country, and answering your garden questions. Send your questions in now to gardentalkradio@gmail.com or call anytime to 1-800-927-SHOW. That's every Saturday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. right here on WMBS 590 AM and FM 101.1. Catch the replay Monday evenings from 6 to 7 p.m.
Benjamin F. Goodwin, voted Fayette County's best attorney, and the entire award-winning Goodwin-Como law team have been trusted by your friends and neighbors for the past 20 years. From estate planning and administration to personal injury, workers' compensation, family law, and criminal defense, they deliver dedicated, personalized representation with 2 convenient offices in Uniontown and Bell Vernon. Visit GoodwinComo.com or call them at 724-438-1616 for your free initial consultation. Goodwin-Como, righting wrongs, securing justice.
Michigan basketball coach Dusty May calls his team's national championship surreal. More from CBS's Michael Wallace.
Hail to the champions!
The Wolverines beat UConn 69-63 to win their first national title since 1989.
When it finally concludes, you have to almost pinch yourself.
On CBS Mornings, Michigan coach Dusty May was asked about being the first champion whose starting 5 players were all acquired through the transfer portal.
We were never trying to rebuild. We were trying to reload and put ourselves in position to win. We felt like that's our primary objective.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Despite mixed reviews, the Super Mario Galaxy movie has scored the biggest opening of the year for a Hollywood film. Studio estimates show it earned almost $131 million over the weekend and $190 million in its first 5 days in North America. Released globally last Wednesday, the film capitalized on spring break vacations. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
The award-winning local, district, and statewide news is being brought to you by Ultimate Structures, offering customized sheds, cabins, and metal buildings. Ultimate Structures is ready to design what you desire. Call today, 724-415-0020.
Your local station, WMBS 505, 44 degrees as Doug Saltzman figures out where to go to dinner. Good afternoon, I'm Nick Barczyk. I've mentioned many local establishments, many of them that air ads with us, and, well, Doug will listen eventually. This is your local station, WMPS, the Weather Watch and Sports on the way in just a bit. Pennsylvania State Police are joining with 5 other state police forces this week in cracking down on distracted driving. Many departments from neighboring states like West Virginia are taking part in the campaign running through Monday. April is officially around the nation, National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and many officials in southwest Pennsylvania have events marking that throughout the next few weeks. Pennsylvania now has its first underground state park. Laurel Caverns in Fayette County is an over 430-acre park that reportedly surrounds the largest and deepest limestone cave in the state of Pennsylvania. The caverns feature 4 miles of cave passages that go as deep as 476 feet. The governor announced the designation in Fayette County as a state park, Laurel Caverns, that is, last evening. GE Vernova spent about $70 million to purchase a large warehouse in Rostraver, expanding its footprint here in southwest PA. The more than 700,000 square foot facility was acquired through a subsidiary and adds to the company's growing presence in the state's energy and manufacturing sector. Company officials have not officially announced specific plans for how the warehouse will be used, but GE Vernova will be moving into Rostraver very soon. Applications are now being accepted for the Young Ambassadors of Pennsylvania program. PennDOT and Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful are hosting the initiative for residents in 10th through 12th grades. Those who would like to get involved should be very passionate and also excited, obviously, about the environment and volunteering. Additional details are available online at keeppabeautiful.org. And a state lawmaker in Harrisburg has recently introduced a bill that could change a postseason competition for high school sports. State Senator Marty Flynn said the legislation would give the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association, PIAA, the ability to establish separate playoff classifications and championship pathways for boundary and non-boundary schools in the state. The bill has been referred to the Education Committee for its consideration. More next on WMBS.
So what's the difference between the sheds I see in the parking lot of the big box stores and a professionally built and installed JDM Structures shed from Ultimate Structures? Good question. First, the manufacturer, JDM Structures, is one of the premier shed builders in business for 34 years. They use composite materials for the exterior with baked-on paint. This ensures you'll have an extended lifespan for your shed. And listen to this. 75% of Ultimate Structures orders are personally designed to satisfy the customer's needs. That's right. And the turnaround time for a custom designed shed is no longer than just buying a stock shed. Compare the roof designs, the superior piano door hinges, the quality of the wall panels, and personal customer service. You'll see. Come to the Mega Lot on Route 51 South, just outside Perryopolis. You need a shed? We can help. We design what you desire. Ultimate Structures.
Concentration. Good evening. I'm Nick Barczyk again. Despite all the distractions in the studio, I press on. Today is the anniversary of the Cullen-Harrison Act. Oh, already? It's a big day in history. Bree Tennis has details on what is known as National Beer Day, but is so much more.
Today is the 93rd anniversary of the act that legalized some alcohol during Prohibition. The Cullen-Harrison Act meant that people in a dry America could legally consume low-alcohol beer and wine. It was signed by FDR as a way to generate tax revenue and create jobs during the Great Depression. It worked. It generated $7.5 million on its first day. So raise a glass to history, because you can. I'm Bree Tennis.
And in sports, we have baseball tonight. Your Pittsburgh Pirates taking on San Diego. Paul Skeens, you may have heard of him. He's on the mound tonight for the second of a three-game set. Bucks, after sweeping the Reds this weekend, swept the Orioles this weekend. They will take on the San Diego after losing last night 5-0, looking to bounce back at 6:15 with the pregame game at 6:40 on WMBS. They also swept the Reds last week. And now in other sports, we spoke with Bob Grove talking Penguins. They're off tonight, take on New Jersey Thursday in their playoff push. The Penguins named Erik Karlsson as the team's MVP for this season. It's the first time in 6 seasons that someone besides for Sidney Crosby won that award. Of course, Sid was out for a while with that Olympic injury. And we have high school baseball for you tomorrow. C.R. Parada Group High School Sports Day should be a good one for Bell Vernon taking on Laurel Highlands on the radio and YouTube. Sprouse Insurance Group pregame at 3:40, game at 4 tomorrow on WMBS after the Pirate game, which will bring you at 12:35 tomorrow. Now the weather watch for all of southwest Pennsylvania. Chilly day, but sunny. The high today only at 46. Right now we're at 43 with the overnight low down to 24. But we're warming up for Wednesday, sunny and 63. Then into the 70s Thursday, 74, reaching 80 on Friday, back down to 65 Saturday. But nothing but sun this weekend, and this week going into the weekend, 81 Sunday and 82 on Monday with clouds and sun. But right now sunny, but only at 44 degrees at 5:11 on this Tuesday afternoon. And good afternoon, I'm Nick Barczyk from the Davis & Davis Studios in Uniontown. More of the Afternoon Drive Show with Doug Saltzman is next, and Rick Seaback, the one, the only, joining us live in studio. Rick's on the way next with Doug, I guess. We'll have to put up with Doug and I, with Doug and me, but we'll talk to Rick. That's on the way next on WMBS.
The local district and statewide news was brought to you by Ultimate Structures, just outside of Perryopolis on Route 51 southbound. Call them today at 724-415-0020 to find the shed, cabin, or metal building that meets your needs.
Good evening. This is Angie Danko of Janney Montgomery Scott here in Uniontown, bringing you today's closing stock market report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 61.1 points, closing at 46,505. The Nasdaq Composite was up 38.2 points, closing at 21,879. And the S&P 500 Index was up 7.4 points, closing at 6,583. Among companies of local interest, Apple closed at $255.92, up 29 cents. Amazon, $209.77, down 80 cents. Cisco, $79.02, up $1.51. Boeing, $208.26, up 93 cents. Caterpillar closed at $717.52, down $12.80. Disney, $96.64, up 8 cents. ExxonMobil, $160.67, down 11 cents. First Energy, $51.31, up 35 cents. Johnson & Johnson closed at $242.97, down $1.15. Home Depot, $321.56, down $8. Intel, $50.38, up $2.35. McDonald's closed at $307.06, down 23 cents. Meta Platforms, $574.46, down $4.77. PNC Financial Services, $211.64, up $2.40. Raytheon Technologies, $196.20, up $1.48. Rockwell Automation, $364.91, down $4.01. Tesla, $360.59, down $20.67. Verizon, $49.38, down 1 cent. And Walmart closed at $125.79, up $1.05. Recapping, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 61.1 points, closing at 46,505. The Nasdaq Composite was up 38.2 points, closing at 21,879. And the S&P 500 Index was up 7.4 points, closing at 6,583. From the Uniontown office of Janney Montgomery Scott, LLC, member of FINRA, NYSE, SIPC, where we serve all of your investment needs. This is Angie.
The heat is on at Live Casino. Think you can take it? Then catch the $18,888 Baccarat Fire Drawings. Play Baccarat daily to earn entries. Every Monday in April, we'll draw 18 winners to score a share of $18,888 in prizes. But that's not all. Every winner will be entered into our exclusive Lucky Fire cash drawing on Monday, April 27th. Take a seat. Feel the heat at Live Casino, Route 30 at Westmoreland Mall. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's time to make your tax refund work for you at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. Now through April 30th, don't miss their Double Your Tax Refund event, where they'll match your refund up to $2,500 when you put it towards a new home. Find a home that fits your family, your style, and your future with the features you've been dreaming of. So what are you waiting for? Stop by Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon today at 4500 Route 51 and take advantage of this limited time offer. Some exclusions may apply.
Look and you'll see there's a whole new Ford for you and me.
Derby's Riverside Ford is proud to announce that we have been awarded Ford Motor Company's highest honors for 2025, the One Ford Elite Award and the Ford President's Award. The One Ford Elite Award recognizes the best of the best, the top dealership among all Ford President's Award winners. This honor means Derby's Riverside Ford has earned the #1 spot in customer satisfaction.
Achieving this distinction requires exceeding customer expectations every day and delivering the highest levels of performance. It takes passion, dedication, and hard work from our entire team in both sales and service. The Thurby family and our dedicated employees have earned the Ford President's Award 26 times, and we want to thank all our loyal customers for rating us the highest in the Pittsburgh region for customer satisfaction.
At Derby's Riverside Ford, we believe every sale is just the beginning. True success comes when a customer becomes part of the Thurby family for life, and that's the standard of excellence we strive for every day. Stop by and experience the Thurby difference for yourself. Visit Thurby's Riverside Ford, located just 1 mile past the casino at Nemacolin.
Chesler's Fine Furniture has teamed up with Craftmaster Upholstery to bring you an exciting new program. You get quality, handcrafted workmanship with hundreds of styles and more than 1,000 fabrics to choose from. And it's all made in the USA. During Chesler's custom order sale, you can select from any of the 25 styles in stock for immediate delivery, or custom order the fabric of your choice, all at sale prices. Choose from traditional, contemporary, and casual. The fabric selection varies from light cottons to heavy textured chenilles. Not only does Craftmaster and Emerald Craft offer choices in mid-range pricing, they build upholstery furniture the old-fashioned way, handcrafted. Come see the large display at Chesler's Fine Furniture today and make your selections. You won't be disappointed. And sofas are sale priced starting at $11.99. Delivery, layaway, and credit terms are available. Chesler's Fine Furniture, Route 51 in Uniontown, where customers send their friends. Coming back to the State Theater with an all-new show, Mutt's Gone Nuts, Unleashed, this Saturday, April 11th at 7 p.m. The whole family will enjoy seeing 12 of the world's most talented four-legged performers put on a comedy dog spectacular that will have you howling for more. The all-star lineup features a Guinness World Record holder, America's Got Talent fan favorite, and a host of amazing dogs. Tickets selling fast. Buy online at statetheater.info or call 724-439-1360 for half-price children's tickets.
It's the Afternoon Drive Show on your local station. Hour number 3, we're with you till 6 o'clock tonight. As Nick just said, Pirate Baseball tonight. News at the top of the hour, but then Pirate pregame at 6:15. First pitch against the Friars, as Greg Brown likes to call them, the Padres.
Absolutely.
Is
The Freeze.
I think the Friars.
The Friars?
Let's go with the
Oh,
Friars.
okay.
Pirates are doing okay. Got shut out last night. Was
Yeah.
at a game last week in Cincinnati. That's a cool park.
Yeah, how was that?
That was a good game. Paul Skeens, I thought it was the first time I ever saw him pitch, but Brian corrected me. We all went to a game to see Skeens pitch last
We
year.
did. You were drinking and eating a
Is
lot
that
of
what
free
it was?
food
I
that
couldn't
night.
keep track,
That
but,
park's very small, though, is it not? Cincinnati?
No, it's about a little smaller than PNC. But
Oh,
not
it's
too
very
small.
small.
But it's very similar in style. But of course, PNC Park.
Well,
is
Cincinnati's a Pittsburgh knockoff.
much
We all
better.
know that.
Exactly.
As is Cleveland.
If you're watching on Facebook Live, and we welcome you to do that on our Facebook Live page. In studio with us right now is our good friend Rick Seaback from WQED TV. Rick, we usually have you here at Christmas time, but I got knocked off the air for a couple of weeks for various programming reasons. So it's good to have you here in studio, and you got a new project. First off, thanks for coming in.
Well, it's an honor always to come in, and it's not Christmas that I think of. I think I'm always here on the 4th of July.
4th of July.
It is the 4th,
yeah,
yes.
You're not usually here on Christmas, but you're on the air with us around Christmas time. But yeah, you're always here on the 4th of July, or at least a similar date to there, if I'm not on the air on the actual 4th. And
we moved it up this year.
You've come to, remember when 4th of July was the 3rd of July during Sophie Masloff's administration?
Yes.
Sophie Masloff was the mayor of Pittsburgh back in the day, of course. She was the Jewish grandmother who became mayor and that's how she described herself when Dick Caligiuri, the mayor, tragically passed away while he was in office. And they realized one way to save money is to have the Pittsburgh 4th of July celebration on the 3rd of July because they didn't have to pay premium overtime
That's great.
to
God love you,
city
Sophie.
workers and police.
Yeah. Remember when she fought with Ed Koch?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
fight
back
with
then.
Ed Koch, called him the Big Apple Sauce.
Yeah, can you imagine those two?
That's right. My money's on Sophie back in the
Yeah.
day. She was a
were
she was
both
a
a
hoot.
little on the
So back
rough
to Rick being in studio with us. Yeah, he usually comes around at the 4th of July, and we always head out somewhere to have dinner. Today we were Nick was getting tired of me trying to figure out a place to go. So Maloney's will go.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, we'll go to Maloney's tonight for dinner. I suppose that'll be a good place to go.
I've only been there once, and I really liked it.
Yeah,
I
and
mean-
we had listeners show up and give us free pies.
It was Frank Kurdick.
Right.
Frank
It doesn't matter
Kurdick
where
showed
you
up.
go. You're not picking up the check. Someone's picking up your check no matter where you go.
But yeah, Frank's a good guy. He works at Heinz Chapel at the University of Pittsburgh. That's where I met him. My daughter Allie and her then fiance, now husband Chris, got married at Heinz Chapel, and they have like wedding coordinators, and he's one of them. And that's where I first met.
Is he still doing that?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't think.
I don't
I think he's moved on, but I'm not. I know that I've talked to him recently about it, but he's an archivist, he's a historian, and I always appreciate the work that he does.
And he showed up with pies. That's good enough for me. You got one of those pies, Nick, if you recall.
Did I?
I think he had made them.
Oh, did he really? Oh,
Yeah, weren't they like hand pies?
Because we talked about you're doing your show on pies.
Right.
And I think that's what prompted that.
Well.
But you have a new show out, episode number 5 of Lucky to Live in Pittsburgh. And, of course, when you say Pittsburgh, it's
We
the
mean the
region.
big Pittsburgh,
Right,
yes. We mean southwestern Pennsylvania, but lucky to live in southwestern Pennsylvania doesn't sound as good as
No, it
lucky
doesn't.
to live in
It
Pittsburgh.
extends to us. It extends to
If you were in
Dunbar.
Paris, you'd say you were from Pittsburgh.
Exactly. My daughter was at some Christmas festival area in Berlin, and she heard the person behind her mention Pittsburgh Steelers, and she turned around, and she was from the North Hills. And you're bumping into somebody from the North
Where
Hills.
was this? Venice?
Berlin.
Oh, Berlin. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
And
Not
what are
Venice.
the chances? But I guess
Wow.
that happens often. And they both said, I'm from Pittsburgh. Neither one actually lived in the city. But
Right.
You're from Pittsburgh. And you've come to like Fayette County here.
Well, I was going to say this program has a lot of Fayette County
Right.
in it, and actually, I said I feel pretty stupid. I don't know that I'd ever stop to think that Fayette County is named for Lafayette.
Yeah, of course.
Uh,
We just took the L.A. off.
Well, yeah, and amongst the many things that I learned while putting this all together is that when Fort Pitt closed at the Point, when they decided to close that because it was so prone to flooding and all of that, they built a new fort at 9th Street on the Allegheny River, and that was called Fort Fayette, or as the historic marker there now says, Fort Lafayette. But I talked to two great historians from the American friends of Lafayette who live in Export, PA, and they'd done a lot of research. And he said in the 1790s when it opened, they called it Fort Fayette. And he had a newspaper article from the time that said Fort Fayette. Wow. So they like that, Fort Fayette, even though the historic marker says Fort Lafayette, and the map that we found said Fort Lafayette. But I think, we all loved this guy from France who helped win the revolution. And actually, some of their understandings of the history really helped me. Like, I didn't ever know that I made the connection that Lafayette was, when he came here as a 19-year-old boy, 19-year-old man to fight in the revolution because he liked the idea of America, he was the richest man in France.
Was he really?
Yeah. So
it's a nice gig.
Yeah.
I'd stay home if I was the richest guy in France.
And knew all of the royal family.
Oh.
And he was able to talk to them to get them to come on the side of the Americans to help us win the revolution.
That's amazing.
And the woman said, if he had not done that, we may not have won the revolution against England.
So how far up from the point was Fort Fayette? You said it was on the Allegheny.
It was on the Allegheny at 9th Street.
So not far up.
Not far up. Not as far as the Strip.
Right.
But, there is a historic marker there now. And it went away for a while, but it's back.
A lot of people forget there were actually 5 forts right in that region there. And I never can remember some of the names. So I'm looking at it right now. Of course, Fort Duquesne, Fort Pitt. Everybody knows about Fort Fayette, which I wouldn't have thought of. And then Fort Prince George.
That's my favorite, Fort Prince George, because it's the first one.
Right.
It's the first one that the British start to build, and they're working on it when like 500 boats come down the Allegheny full of French people, and they say, hey, get out. No battle for Fort Prince George.
Right. Bloodless coup, as they would say.
They just decided, we can't. There were like 40 of them versus 500, and they just got out. And then I think the French used part of their construction of Fort Prince George to make Fort Duquesne.
Right.
So.
And at one point there was a very small Mercer's Fort. I think that was built while they were building Fort Pitt.
Okay.
I think at least that's what I read at one point. It doesn't say that here today. But when you get it, somebody once, one of my daughters said, they should have kept Fort Pitt. It would have been neat. I said, well, it would have taken up a good part of, it was massive.
It was the largest fort built by the English, I think, ever.
Right.
It was big. And
like where Fort Pitt Museum was a corner of the fort.
Right, exactly.
A little corner of it, literally. Not a quarter of it, but a corner of it. So go ahead.
You can sort of get the scope, when you see the layout down there at the point. But I mean, I think Fort Duquesne was closer to the actual point than Fort Pitt, which was back a little bit.
Right.
But the Native Americans were smart enough to never build something there because it flooded all the time.
Right. Yeah, they knew better. They'd been there a while.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't just show up and say, "Oh, what a great place." But that's where the ramparts were built because it would sustain the flooding to a degree. But go ahead, I cut you off there.
No. So, I mean, it's just, I can't remember what first got me interested in Albert Gallatin, but when I was writing for Pittsburgh Magazine and I would do a historic article every month, something came up and I thought, I know nothing about him. So I came down here to Friendship Hill, I'm going to say 5 or 7 years ago, and went into the place and looked around and liked it a lot. And Friendship Hill was... Initially, the first part of Friendship Hill was built by Albert Gallatin in the 1790s, and it's been built on by his son and various other owners of the property. For this program, I got to meet Brian Reedy, who is a park ranger, the head park ranger for Fort Necessity and Friendship Hill. They're both part of the Fort Necessity National Park, although they are 27 miles apart.
Right. It's government. It's how they do these things.
Right?
As is the place where the little skirmish took place that started the world ablaze.
The little skirmish.
Get to the top of the summit, turn left. What is that little area back there where George Washington had his first battle?
Fort Necessity?
No, not the Fort Necessity.
I'm sorry.
What's the name of the retreat?
Didn't sound right.
Jumonville?
Jumonville. There we go.
Okay.
Jumonville Glen.
Thank you, Rick. That's why Rick's
that's
here.
Also, that's also part of Fort
knowledge.
Necessity National Battlefield unit, as they call it, a unit of it.
Well,
which is amazing when you think about something like that being saved. They have the exact location where this 15-minute skirmish took place. And
Is that what they called it back then? George Washington said this is a little skirmish.
Well, I think they probably did use a word like skirmish back then.
Skirmish,
And
yeah.
then George Washington, of course, bought the property where Fort Necessity was, which is amazing to
That
think.
is amazing.
Maybe we should preserve this. And it was where he lost his only battle. You think he would have wanted to forget about it?
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's always of those things. The one that I never understand is Braddock. Braddock was like a total failure.
Oh.
Yes, we have a town named Braddock. We have
Yeah.
Braddock Road, Braddock
Braddock.
Avenue, where I
Oh,
live.
it was a disaster.
You know, and like, I don't think people ever think, oh, he didn't make it. He died. He's buried out here somewhere.
Yeah, right, yeah,
I think they don't know the exact location,
Well,
but there's a
they-
monument to him here.
Right, there's a what the word what the National Park Service goes with is that back then they would bury dead soldiers under roads.
So they wouldn't be disturbed.
Disturbed later. So then they would have the horse. In fact, they think they have the exact location where George Washington, hard to believe, and I told my kids, guys, George Washington stood right here, and he was sort of the minister for this burial service. And then they moved it up closer to the road, they think. So they have that. And that's also a unit of Fort Necessity National Battlefield where Braddock lost. Back in the days when he would be screaming, hold the line, when the Indians knew to duck. For some reason, soldiers back in those days would just stand shoulder to shoulder and fire their guns. But, you know, we got the country somehow. I guess it worked out. But go ahead. I keep cutting you off with little snippets of information.
No, but I love that. And I love the fact that, you know, I knew so much less about Lafayette now, but I mean, Fayette County was named, I believe, in 1783. So it'd be right after the Revolution. This broke away from Westmoreland County and became Fayette County.
As did Allegheny County.
I think
Part
so,
of
yeah.
Westmoreland County.
Exactly. And but then as America prepared for its 50th anniversary in 1824, President Monroe said, hey, the Marquis de Lafayette is still alive. Let's bring him back and put him on tour. And so that's what happened. In 1824, they asked him to come back as the guest of the nation, and everybody wanted to see him and meet him. And it's funny, when I see sometimes the size of crowds at that time and the amount of people I gather, I think, well, you know, there was no television, there was no radio, there was nothing.
Yeah.
And
it was hard for things to get, what's the word I'm looking for? They didn't hit the internet. They didn't become
right.
viral.
Everybody wanted to be there.
Well, it used to be bad to go viral. That means you had a horrible deadly disease. Oh my God, you're about Timmy's viral.
Yeah. But I'm always amazed too, like the amount of people that showed up at, maybe you're about to talk about that, at Friendship Hill to see Lafayette. You drive from Uniontown now to Friendship Hill. It's a drive. Yeah. Back then.
Actually, I thought of that today, driving from Pittsburgh down here to Uniontown. And the fact that Lafayette, he went down the East Coast in 1824. He stopped in Fayetteville, North Carolina, also named for him. And then all the way down, went across the South, and apparently spent most of the holidays around New Orleans, where there were French people. And
good food.
1825, he came up the Mississippi. I mean, stopping at all these different places where people gathered to meet him and see him. He went up the Mississippi to the Ohio. He came up the Ohio. He has a terrible boat incident. His boat sinks. He loses everything, all his clothes, all his money, everything. His dog dies, apparently, and none of that's in my show.
Be kind of gloomy. It'd be a darker version. Tell you what, we're talking with Rick Tree back here in studio about his latest documentary, Lucky to Live in Pittsburgh. We have to take a break right now. We'll be right back to talk a little bit more to Rick about this latest project and more stories as well. And maybe this time I'll shut up and let him talk more. Stick around. I'm Doug. That's Nick. Most importantly, this is Rick Seaback. Join us if you want to watch us. We're on Facebook Live. Stick around.
Did you know that you have a choice for your physical therapy provider? NovaCare Rehabilitation offers same-day appointments, and oftentimes you don't need a prescription from your doctor to see us. We will make sure that you are treated as an individual and will work directly one-on-one with you to help achieve your goals. You have tried the rest. Now try the best. NovaCare, Delaware Avenue in Uniontown. Phone 724-437-0556 to schedule your appointment today.
Experiencing symptoms of COPD? Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale has been selected to conduct a clinical research study, and participants are needed. All study-related care will be provided at no cost, and no health insurance is required. Compensation up to $2,200 for qualified participants for time and travel. To learn more, call Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale at 724-220-5281. That's Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale at 724-220-5281.
Shopping for replacement windows in Fayette County? Metropolitan Window Company elevates your shopping experience.
John, Maggie, and Justin Schmutzer here from Metropolitan Window Company, a family-owned and operated window and door company for over 47 years.
When you choose Metropolitan Window Company, you'll experience personalized knowledge, expertise, and professionalism from our first visit to your home until our craftsmen complete your installation.
We're the window company that people want in their homes, and our exclusive Infinity by Marvin 100% fiberglass windows are the windows people love.
They're built for life. They are the strongest, longest-lasting windows you can buy.
We have a great selection of colors and finishes. We service the entire Fayette County area and will come to your home. Visit us at metropolitanwindows.com or give us a call at 412-655-8411.
PA 1565.
If you are looking for a trusted local law firm with a strong commitment to their clients, look no further than Zebley Law Offices. Attorney Zebley has been practicing law in Fayette County for more than 4 decades. Although specializing in bankruptcy, Zebley also handles real estate matters, civil suits, collections, wills, powers of attorney, and more. If you need legal help, go with a name you recognize and trust. Call Zebley Law Offices today at 724-439-9200.
CareerLink is your one-stop resource for employment and training-related services. Visit CareerLink and you'll have access to many programs and agencies for assistance with economic, educational, and job-related needs. For more information on all the programs available to you, contact CareerLink at 724-434-JOBS. That's 724-434-JOBS.
Mountaintop Title and Notary can handle all of your motor vehicle and PennDOT needs, such as titles, plates, renewal, registrations, and all notary needs. Tina Nicholson of Mountaintop Title and Notary can also handle ATV and boat titles, and also does income taxes. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4:30, and appointments can be made for after hours and Saturdays. Mountaintop Title and Notary with a new location at 655 Nelson Road in Farmington, the only place you need to go for all title, notary, and tax work. Call Tina at 724-984-1514 for the most professional services around.
The weather's warming up, and those big outdoor projects are calling. So, who are you going to call? Well, no. How about you call 3P Excavating and Plumbing of Smithfield? From French drains and septic systems to site prep for homes and buildings, plus driveway and utility line clearing, 3Ps does it all. Get your property ready the right way. Call 3P Excavating and Plumbing today at 724-880-5215 or find them on Facebook.
You might be seeing or hearing from Nick Barczyk for the last time. He just yelled at Rick Seaback. The first time in history anybody's ever yelled at Rick Seaback.
That is not true. And, and Nick is always obviously the person who controls this place.
Oh, please.
And I appreciate him, and he can yell at me all he wants. If Doug hollers at me, I may leave. But
I don't need all those compliments, Rick. Just bring me back some Maloney.
I've been dissed by Rick Seaback.
Just bring me back some Maloney.
Low point for me. That's it. Well, before we went to break there, we were talking about
Lafayette
and his impact in this region.
Right.
And I think a lot of people forget that the French we were fighting the French at one point. Then they decided, we hate the British more, so let's go with the colonists.
Right. Yes. Yeah. The French and Indian War were against the French, but then the French came to our side for the Revolution. But in 1825, Lafayette went up the Mississippi, up the Ohio, where he has this terrible incident with the boat. He gets to Wheeling. He gets off in Wheeling rather than going all the way up to Pittsburgh. and he takes the national road, Route 40, funded by Albert Gallatin and the U.S. Treasury, and comes over to Uniontown. And of course, I'm thinking about that today as I'm driving. You know, it's not an easy drive.
Not today, it isn't. Let alone.
Right. I mean, it was cold out today. It was a beautiful day, but I just think, like, you know, there's a lot of territory to cover. He takes the national road here to Uniontown. They have a big to-do. Gallatin gives a speech. Lafayette gives a speech. And then Gallatin invites him down to Friendship Hill. And Brian Reedy, the trooper down there, the park ranger, he said, you know, they were stunned at how much of Uniontown came with them back to have this big party at Friendship Hill.
And I don't think Albert Gallatin was thrilled with the idea.
No, I think he called it the plethora of people or
he
something.
wanted a private,
He wanted to have a little
get-together
time with Lafayette. But Brian Reedy, it's one of my favorite moments in the show, which will be on again this Saturday night at 6:30. Or you can watch it on YouTube right now. It's unusual that we've done that. So my show, Lucky to Live in Pittsburgh, you can go to YouTube and watch it. You can go to the QED Plus app. I meant to find out the exact address, but if you go to WQED.org, click on WQED Plus, which is our newish app, this show is free. You don't have to pay to watch this one. But you can also watch it on YouTube, and you can watch it, if you like, on TV on Saturday night at 6:30. But in our show, Brian Reedy, my favorite moment is when he says, you know, all this happened, but we can say Lafayette slept here at Friendship Hill. And I love that. And they also show us a musket. And there's, I had a story from a previous show, History of Pittsburgh and 17 Objects, about the glass that was made in New Geneva. That was the first glass made west of the Allegheny Mountains.
And, of course, Geneva was the hometown of Albert Gallatin.
Yes, and this is something else I found out while doing this is we say he's a Swiss immigrant, but Switzerland didn't exist yet. Geneva was a city-state.
Oh, I did not know that.
And he came from Geneva, so that makes sense that he would start New Geneva, here in the Mon Valley.
And, of course, his first wife loved the area, and sadly, she died.
Within 5 months, I think.
Of being there. And his second wife did not like the area.
No, she was
When
from...
you think about being Paris back in the day compared to, I mean, right now, and it's beautiful out there where
Friendship
Hill is, but it's rural now. Imagine then.
No, I say that. It is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Now, let alone back then.
I mean, it has a beautiful view of the Mon. It's right on the Mon River, but up high on a cliff, looking down on the Mon. But yeah, his second wife did not like it, and they spent little time here. Right. But I mean, he became Secretary of the Treasury for 13 years. He became the Minister to France, which was like the ambassador to France, and then the Minister to Great Britain, also like being the ambassador to Great Britain.
Absolutely brilliant. And I love reading stories about his first wife writing to her parents saying, I know he's not the best looking guy. And imagine us saying that to your parents, but I love him, and he's a good man.
Right, and that was, she was the daughter of the innkeeper where he was staying in Baltimore. That's how he met his first wife. But he is credited with figuring out how to fund the Louisiana Purchase, the National Road, which is now Route 40. But the Louisiana Purchase doubled the size of the United States, and it also included this little expedition of Lewis and Clark in 1803, 1804, 1805, to go to see if they could find a water route to the Pacific.
Which started in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's where they had the boats built.
That's still a point of contention.
Oh, is that up for grabs? Okay.
Yes. And but I did a story about that in my show, Right Beside the River. No, Things We've Made is the name of the show. That we made the boat. And even when they did a 200th anniversary recreation in 2003, when they got to the point, there were two keel boats, one from the History Center, who believed the boat was built in Pittsburgh, and one from Elizabeth, which the reenactors, the national reenactors, chose Elizabeth because they liked that story better.
I remember seeing that. I went down for it. And of course, that boat was being run by an electric motor. So they had a guy under a tarp in the back being hidden, running the outboard.
But it's really beautiful.
And then, of course, the Rooneys did the trip.
Right, and I don't know that book, but they wrote a book about
Right,
it.
and
They,
there's a
they
nice-
recreated the Lewis and Clark expedition.
Right. And there's a great display about that at the Heinz History Center.
And in the course of finding out all about all that, and the fact that Meriwether Lewis, before he met up with Clark, spent 3 months in Pittsburgh waiting for the boat to be built. While he was here, he bought a dog. And the dog's name was Seaman. He was a Newfoundland. And he went all the way to the Pacific with them and all the way back to St. Louis. Seaman is his name. He's recognized in the West with like 30 some statues.
Of a dog.
Of a dog. But he was bought here in Pittsburgh. He came from Pittsburgh. Meriwether Lewis paid $20 for him. And for the first time, I used some AI in this program to see if what AI would show us as possibly the look of the scene where the guy's paying $20 for a dog in 1803 Pittsburgh. So
You
that's
spent $20 for that dog?
which they think might be about $400
I was gonna
today.
say, good heavens. And now,
But-
is there a lineage of that dog? Can you somehow get its ancestors through to this day?
I said no one claims direct
Yeah.
lineage from
Well, we can fake
Seaman,
it.
but
Nick, we'll
fake
a
it.
dog.
I say I think it's a good
Give me
speculation
your whiskers.
that he had $20 because he'd been funded by Albert Gallatin, who gave money for the Lewis and Clark expedition as well. So he may have had that money because of Albert Gallatin. So all the stories here connect, and there's even a sort of country folk Americana band that plays some gigs in the Pittsburgh area around St. Patrick's Day, and I think because my phone knew I was doing all this research, it showed up. And I knew the guy who's the lead singer and one of the founders of the band, and the name of the band was Gallatin Hall. And I said, whoa. I called him and I said, why is your band called Gallatin Hall? He said, because I started with a friend. We were both living in Gallatin Hall, the dormitory at Robert Morris University at the time. And so we named it after that. And I said, do you know about Albert Gallatin? He goes, well, I looked it up at the time. Why is this place called Gallatin Hall? He said, there is also one at Harvard.
Oh, is there? Yeah.
And
I mean, of course, in the work he did, Gallatin was sort of fascinating over the years. What he started and things, the bank in New York and
Gallatin Bank, there was
Gallatin
here
Bank,
for
right here. The Gallatin Bank building's right down the street. Yeah, it's amazing. Again, little known. I love going up there because they have great hiking paths at Friendship Hill. I once saw a bobcat. Which I thought was pretty cool until I realized we made eye contact, which you're not supposed to make with a wild animal.
Oh,
and I
boy.
decided to go the other direction. But I remember guys pulled in, there was about 4 guys on motorcycles. And they said, have you been here before? I'm like, yeah. He said, well who's Albert Gallatin? Yeah. And I said, well, you'll be fascinated once you learn about him. He's just one of those founding fathers that nobody knows, but most of the country owes their life to him.
Yeah,
We could use him today to pay down the debt.
The youngest of the founding fathers,
Right.
And sometimes called the Swiss founding father. But I love the fact that when Lewis and Clark, they took the boat up the Missouri River as far as they could. When they got to the headwaters of the Missouri, they realized 3 rivers came together in Montana to make the Missouri River, and they named them the Jefferson, the Madison, and the Gallatin. So there's a Gallatin River in Montana named for Albert Gallatin, whose house is here in Fayette County. And next to the Gallatin River is the Gallatin Mountain Range.
Wow.
So, I mean,
And most probably people don't even know who it's named for.
well,
That's, yeah.
and Madeline McComb was the other park ranger that we met down at Friendship Hill, and she's originally from Montana. And I said, did you know Albert Gallatin? She goes, yeah, everybody in Montana knows the name Gallatin.
That's amazing.
Probably more than we do here. So I said, if Pittsburghers know the name, it's because of Albert Gallatin High School.
Right, there's an Albert Gallatin School District, right, Nick? Isn't that
Yes.
the name of the school
Absolutely.
district?
I mentioned both of those things in the show because it's important. And driving out there, you also see Albert Gallatin Middle School.
Right.
Yeah, it's right across. Right across. It's interesting. The house itself has gone through a lot of changes over the years, and at one point, his son put an addition on it, and Dad wasn't too happy about it. It was not what his dad wanted, and it's had multiple owners. Tragically, at one point, it was the victim of arson, and local firefighters to this day are praised for saving it. And
Right, I
that's a
saw
long
some of those
way.
pictures, yeah.
And they were very smart in how they did it. They didn't just rebuild the whole thing. They used that fire to show how the building was built inside and the changes it made. And of course, there's stories, and there's no proof to it that Patty Hearst was held there at one point after she'd been kidnapped by the Liberation, whatever.
Yeah, Symbionese Liberation Army.
Oh, what a memory on you,
Well,
Rick.
you mentioned that on the phone to me. I did not know any of that. Excuse me, but I looked it up. And she and two leaders of the Symbionese Liberation Army did spend a month in western Pennsylvania hiding out.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Now, you said that people here in Fayette County think perhaps she stayed at Friendship Hill, which was still a private residence at the time. It was until 1978, a private residence. But reading more about it, they think perhaps it was really in Washington County, the house where she stayed. But yeah, there is a Patty Hearst connection, which is really interesting because I live in Regent Square in, Pittsburgh, and the name of my alley is Hearst Way. And I said, I wonder if it has a connection to William Randolph Hearst or Patty Hearst.
There's always a connection to Pittsburgh, and I've told my kids that because I've taken them to every possible historic site there is in this corner of the state and other places. And I got one.
No, you haven't.
Well,
a lot.
Well, if you ask my daughters, they would say I did.
Okay.
You're right. I did not.
No, Doug's an enthusiast. He
Another
really
diss.
has been everyone.
Another diss from the Rick
They're
Seaback.
piling up. I think dinner's off.
Yeah,
It's going to be
not
awkward
like
at
you out
dinner.
there, yeah.
It's going to be awkward at the dinner I'm not invited to. No.
And they said, Dad, and I always say that there's always a connection to Pittsburgh. And they said, Dad, you should do a podcast called "There's Always a Connection to Pittsburgh."
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that
yes.
would be fun to do. I don't know how to do such things, so I should find some 12-year-old who can tell me how to do this.
If only you had a radio show where you could give your opinions.
Exactly.
And talk about
that.
things you
But
like.
that is always sort of fascinating. Now, I'm sure every town says there's always a connection to Baton Rouge. There's always a connection to
And Topeka.
yeah. But
Wichita.
Pittsburgh does seem to have that craziness.
Well, yes, and I love that about Pittsburgh, and I love that sort of, other places you have 6 degrees of separation. 3 is usual
Right.
here, I think, that you can find
Well, it's
connections.
just the history that you've laid out. I mean, in our area, in Fayette County, and then going up to Pittsburgh, it's unmatched. The
And
history
then throwing
here.
that sports into that. Of how
Oh,
many
absolutely.
Incredible quarterbacks came from this corner of the state. Yeah.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, that's
I mean, the state of Pennsylvania, the country was founded here.
Well-
Now, New England as well, but really, Southwest Pennsylvania is a bastion of history. You
Well,
like
I-
that word, Rick? Bastion?
Yeah, that works. I mean, I say as the 19th century became the 20th century, so 1890s into the 1900s and 1910s, we were a world capital in
Oh, yeah.
Pittsburgh. The richest men in the world lived here.
Right.
Oil had been first pumped from the ground north of Pittsburgh. That's mind-boggling.
Oil's not a small thing. Yeah.
Now, when you think about the Strait of Hormuz, that all started in Titusville, Pennsylvania.
That's right.
I heard this about 2 years ago, and I didn't believe it at first, and I did some research. At the turn of the 20th century, so the 1800s to the 1900s, the biggest economy in the world was the British Empire. Number 2 was the United States as a whole. Number 3 was the state of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
When you think about the economic impact just 126 years ago, that this was the 3rd largest economy in the world when you think coal, glass, steel, iron ore, you name it. And a good part of it was from this corner.
Yeah, from the industrialization of this part of the world. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we were lucky there was so much coal here. And I think that, helped get a lot of this industry started. And it is an amazing story. And I think it helps, our appreciation of Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh area. It's a good place to be. And, just driving in tonight to see the George Marshall tribute
the
square
plaza.
there. Yeah,
Well,
the
that
plaza.
And that was paid for by governments in Europe. This wasn't like, Joe Hardy spent a lot of money preserving it and keeping that, but it was, the people of Europe realized we need to thank this guy. The British, the Marshall Plan literally saved Europe. And,
Right.
And they learned their lesson after World War I that the United States did nothing to rebuild Europe, and as a result, it fell into total chaos almost immediately after the end of World War I, which led to the
World
rise
War
of
II.
Nazi Germany, you name it, yeah. But that plaza is absolutely spectacular. And I've been, not apparently to every historic site I thought I was, till Rick told me I wasn't. But I've
what a
not
burn,
seen
what a
another
diss.
plaza like that in this region to one person. I mean, that is just an absolutely amazing plaza they have there, to his credit.
No, you're right. And No,
at Five Corners is what the local.
because I
folks
just
call it.
thought I always say the most famous Pittsburgher of all time. Do you have a candidate?
Well,
Have we talked about this?
Nick and I, we haven't. Nick and I debated this.
Well, there was a list once. I think you were on it, right? Top 100 Pittsburghers, and you made it.
Oh, that was
You made
that
the
was
cut.
yeah, that was on Pittsburgh Magazine.
But they
No.
voted Fred Rogers ahead of Jonas Salk. Now, with all due respect to Mr. Rogers, he had a television show and wore a sweater, and Jonas Salk created the polio vaccine.
But-
so I would rank Mr. Salk 1.
Oh, see, I would rate H.J. Hines number 1.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one.
Because
Carnegie.
he changed the way the world ate.
Oh,
That's
and,
right.
And not just the way it was preserved, of how safe it was.
Right.
They were the first ones to have scientists to say, let's not sell poisonous food.
All right, Rick, I'll give you Hines. That's fine. If we're going to knock Mr.
No, but I
Salk
thought
off,
there's
we'll
no
give you
plaza to Hines.
No, there isn't. No, there should.
You know, yeah, there should be. Yeah, we should.
Carnegie's up there.
Yeah, this is Senator John Hines' grandfather.
Right.
He put it in perspective.
Yeah, the founder they call him,
Right,
H.J. Hines.
And Teresa can make the top.
But I'm
yeah,
also
10 as
campaigning
well.
for a statue to Seaman the dog that went with
Oh,
Lewis
Seaman
and
the
Clark.
dog. Yes, we need the statue of the dog.
Yes.
As long as it's pronounced properly.
That's
Yes.
right.
Seaman.
Seaman the
Seaman.
dog.
One
No,
mispronounced.
but you know.
So
it's-
all this, Lucky to Live in Pittsburgh, episode number 5. The premiere was yesterday.
The premiere was yesterday, but you can watch it right now on YouTube. Just put in "Lucky to Live in Pittsburgh" WQED, you'll find it. It's also going to be rebroadcast on Saturday night at 6:30, so you can watch it then. And it's also on the WQED Plus app, which is a new thing that we've got. Most of the things on there, you need to be a member at the $5 a month or higher level.
That would be my salary here, my monthly salary.
Barely, yeah.
All of
If you're
my
lucky.
shows are there. There's 78 or 80 shows of mine there. You can watch them all on
And there's
WQED
another
Plus.
station, too, I frequently see your shows on, like 13.3 or one of those
Oh,
over-the-air
well, yeah, we're and there's another thing they have now called 412, the 412,
Right,
and
right.
that's very much like the old neighborhood channel. Airs a lot
That's
of.
how I get WQED. I don't have cable these days, and I haven't had it for years. And so I have a little antenna on the back of my set, and for some reason I can't get QED on that antenna, but I can go right in and get those 13, the World.
Yes,
the
World. Then there's
412 QED. Yeah, those are great stations. I have them on regularly. They're very easy.
Excellent.
Easy to get to. We only have a few minutes left here with Rick Seaback in studio.
Oh, that went fast.
It always does.
Flies
on,
by.
On the afternoon drive show, we have Pirate Baseball.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm thinking about next. Chicken.
Chicken.
Yeah, I think it would make it. I mean, I wanted to do it as a national show, but PBS didn't seem that interested in all of that.
What
and-
are they? A national show about chicken, I'd sign at that.
But you know, things have changed quite a bit as far as funding is concerned and all of that. And Corporation for Public Broadcasting is gone. They used to help fund all of my national shows. So you got a chicken place that you really love the chicken?
I'm trying to think of one that does sponsorships with us, that advertises with the station, because that's the only way we're going to mention
We're
you.
not supposed to say Chick-fil-A.
No,
yeah,
of
that's
course
not.
not,
You need
no.
like a
No,
local-
no, I don't.
The Colonel.
It's like on the television show The Office, when Michael was in Manhattan, he said, "There's my favorite New York pizza place," and it was Sbarro.
Sbarro, yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
right.
Well, I don't know if I did a show
We'll
last
think of
summer.
one.
I did a show last summer that you can see on YouTube right now, the Serbian Chicken Blast in Weirton. I don't know that
Serbian
we'll
Chicken Blast.
find a place that tops that.
It's a subtle name.
Well, it's to support the Serbian church in Steubenville, which is across the Ohio River from Weirton.
Right.
And it's every Wednesday in the summer, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, on Wednesdays, which used to be payday at Weirton Steel when it was operating. And the Serbs keep it going, and they roast over an open flame approximately 500 chickens every week.
Oh, my goodness.
And they are sold out every week. They
Wow.
are so good.
Weekly. Yeah,
Yes.
The church
I'll
festivals
check it out.
are fascinating. We always have the people in here once a year for the Carpatho Rusin.
Yes, Carpatho Rusin in
Oh,
October.
And do they do lamb, I bet?
I'm sure they do lamb,
Which
yes.
is, the church is the Ukrainian Catholic Church. Is that
Right.
Sometimes the Croatians.
Oh, yeah. It's the Rusin people don't have their own land. I guess it's a combination, but they have
Yeah.
a festival every year.
Oh, it's
been
wonderful.
Going on forever.
You know, Andy Warhol was Carpatho Rusin.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
Yes.
and they have
Another
that
Pittsburgh
festival here
legend.
every year, and it's huge. The same
Yeah.
sort of thing like that.
No, I mean, those are wonderful examples of this sort of Pittsburgh community that doesn't forget its immigrant roots, that celebrates those immigrant roots. And I say, if you know anything about American food, we are so blessed to have all these different influences from immigrant groups. So,
Nick, we have to think of local chicken. There's the famous chicken place where you would come down the Summit.
Yeah, Sam's, was it?
The huge chicken is there.
Yeah, the huge chicken.
That
The
huge
restaurant's
chicken
no
is
longer
still
there. It's a
The
car
restaurant's
wash now.
Yeah, the chicken's there. There's
Yeah.
another one of the chickens somewhere up here on Morgantown
Yes.
Avenue, I think.
Rooster's Roost is a good local establishment, now that I think of it.
Right.
Rooster's Roost.
Rooster's Roost on Francis Street here in town.
Right.
And
Is
they've
it
done,
connected to that
they've
old
done
one that
ads
used
with
to
us.
be at the bottom of the
I don't think
Uniontown
so. There's not
Hill?
a connection,
That was the
no.
place a lot of people would pull in there and let the brakes cool in their cars.
That's right, absolutely.
No, the people across the street used to have a house used to have a cottage at Deep Creek, and we would always come through Uniontown on our way to Deep Creek,
That's
and we
awesome.
would always stop there.
Yeah, before a lot of people would stop there because they knew they had to make it up that hill. But now we came down there one time, and my dad's brakes went on the car, and we're towing a trailer.
Yeah.
And we were going to pull up the emergency ramp. They have except somebody parked in front of it. To this day, my
Of
dad
course.
said he wanted to find out the man who did that.
Cursing them out.
And we came down into Hopwood, and Dad was praying. He said, if that light's not green, we're not stopping.
Yeah.
And we stopped for the chicken to let the brakes cool down. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's great.
Dad's prayers were answered that light, the same green light, traffic light that's still there. Rick Seaback joining us in studio here on the Afternoon Drive Show. We're down to a little time left here before we have to hit the news at 6, followed by Pirate pregame at 6:15. So again, lucky to live in Pittsburgh. You did one a while back. I thought the low point of it was I was in it momentarily when you were talking about.
That'll bring it to a screeching
that's
halt.
right. When you were talking about the Dairy Queen.
Oh, yes, yes,
Right.
the Dairy
With
Queen.
the great
Actually,
old-fashioned sign.
I stopped on my way down today.
Oh, did you stop there today?
Because they just opened last week.
Oh, it wasn't open a week ago.
Yes,
Okay.
they've just opened. Maybe they opened today or this week. Maybe on Monday was their first day.
They were hoping for warm weather, and today it's 43 degrees. But
I
it's
know, but
sunny.
you can still have a vanilla cone and eat it in the
Oh,
car.
you don't need ice cream year-round.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
No.
Rick,
Well,
thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate your being
I always
here.
love coming down here. I don't know, I love WMBS.
feelings
love
mutual,
seeing Nick, and sometimes I like seeing Doug.
Another line.
I used to be at least a little above Nick. Boy, that old fella. Now. Although Nick doesn't like Mr. Rogers, apparently. I think that.
Do I think he outranks Jonas Salk? I
that
mean,
might
he
give
was
me
a nice
some,
man, but
get me some points back. We'll have to have you. We'd like to have you on occasionally. Next year, we really need to have you around when we celebrate our 90th anniversary on the air. This station,
Wow.
family owned the entire time.
All right, well, then I'll make a little plug for me. On the 7th of July, if I got invited here on the 4th of July, I would celebrate here. But this year, on the 6th of July, I will be a full-time PBS station employee for 50 years.
Wow.
oh my goodness! Look
And
at you.
WQED is
going
nice
away.
enough. They're going to, on Thursday nights from 7 till 9, all summer, on Thursday nights, they're going to have Seaback Summer. They're going to run my shows all summer long for 2 hours on Thursday nights, 7 till 9.
Oh, congrats.
All
I
right.
mean, that is amazing.
Thanks,
50
guys.
years.
Into the
Yes.
news. Thanks, Rick.
And
All
for Kuiper, President Trump says a whole civilization will die tonight ahead of his deadline for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. Now a request has been made by Iran through Pakistan. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
Shehbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, on X, posting that diplomatic efforts for peaceful settlement of the ongoing war in the Middle East are progressing steadily, strongly, and powerfully with the potential to lead to substantive results in the near future. So he's asking that for diplomacy to run its course, there be a 2-week ceasefire for the president to put that in place.
On the Hill, Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska says everyone involved must de-escalate the saber rattling. Democratic Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi says if the cabinet is not willing to invoke the 25th Amendment and restore sanity, Republicans must reconvene Congress to end the war. GOP Congressman Nathaniel Moran of Texas says he does not support the destruction of a whole civilization. Not only are the pictures of the far side of the moon a sight to see, but Artemis II lunar science lead Kelsey Young says of the descriptions of colors besides black and white,